120 to 128. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن إبراهيم كان أمة قانتا لله حنيفا ولم يك من المشركين شاكرا لأنعمه اجتباه وهداه إلى صراط مستقيم وآتيناه في الدنيا حسنة وإنه في الآخرة لمن الصالحين ثم أوحينا إليك أن اتبع ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين إنما جعل السبت على الذين اختلفوا فيه وإن ربك ليحكم بينهم يوم القيامة فيما كانوا فيه يختلفون ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين وإن عاقبتم فعاقبوا بمثل ما عوقبتم به ولئن صبرتم لهو خير للصابرين واصبر وما صبرك إلا بالله ولا تحزن عليهم ولا تك في ضيق مما يمكرون إن الله مع الذين اتقوا والذين هم محسنون صدق الله العظيم. Indeed, Abraham was a model of excellence, devoted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, perfectly upright, not a polytheist, utterly grateful for Allah's favors, so he chose him and guided him to the straight path. We blessed him with all goodness in this world and in the hereafter. He will certainly be among the righteous. Then we revealed to you, O Prophet, saying, follow the faith of Ibrahim, the upright, who was not one of the polytheists. Honoring the Sabbath was ordered only for those who disputed about Abraham, and surely your Lord will judge between them on the day of judgment regarding their disputes. Invite all to the way of your Lord with wisdom and kind advice, and only debate with them in the best manner. Surely your Lord alone knows best who has strayed from his way and who is rightly guided. If you retaliate, then let it be equivalent to what you have suffered. But if you patiently endure, it is certainly best for those who are patient. Be patient, O Prophet, for your patience is only with Allah's help. Do not grieve over those who disbelieve, nor be distressed by their schemes. Surely Allah is with those who shun evil and do righteous deeds. Jazakallah khair.
Brother. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulil Kareem. My name is Dr. Adil Riaz. I work as a GP near Wolverhampton, and I've got the responsibility of Dawah in UKIM Midland Zone. Alhamdulillah, it's a pleasure to see so many of you coming for this great cause today, joining this training program. Today's presentation just would be, so I'll be starting by a brief presentation today. So the idea is to tell you about UKIM Dawah campaign, which is happening and for the very reason why we're doing this training program today. So to start with, I would like to thank all of you. I would like to thank UK Islamic Mission. I would like to thank all the brothers from UKIM who come from different places, the responsibilities, our branch Naseem, or zonal, all the zonal Nazmeen. I'm grateful for those. Plus our sister organizations, UKIM Sisters, UKIM Youth, they are presented here. And Muslim Community Association, our Bengali brothers, alhamdulillah, they've come as well, and Muslim Association of Britain. So all of us supported us in this campaign. So today's program, which is a short 3-hour program, which is quite short for a training of this type, but we thought because we want, it's the first meeting of its kind, so you can consider this as a kind of a short booster type of session. Inshallah, more of such sessions would come as we go along. So today, after my presentation, we'll be discussing ethos and psychology of Dawah, which will be Brother Naseem. So alhamdulillah, we are honored to have all these trainers who come from various parts of UK, both north and south. And they're alhamdulillah so experienced. Brother Naseem is leading UKIM Dawah project in North Zone. And he's the founder of Gan Hope website, and you'll be hearing more about Gan Hope. Alhamdulillah, he's been involved in Dawah for long. And then we'll have Dr. Naveed, who's the NHS consultant surgeon, and alhamdulillah, he's got more than 20 years experience in Dawah as well, and he's conducted various training program. And these brothers have been involved in London Olympics Dawah campaign as well. So we want to utilize their experience in the Commonwealth game training. So I'm grateful for them to come from that far. So Brother Naveed will be talking about psychology of Dawah, and he'll be talking about street Dawah as well. And then in the session 2, so this is the session 1 that hopefully will finish around 3:50. And then we'll have a 10-minute tea break, and inshallah the session 2 would be small group workshops. And we've got quite a few brothers and sisters who are experienced in doing Dawah program, and they'll be leading these small workshops. We also got Brother Matthew, who reverted to Islam in 70s. And alhamdulillah, he's been involved in Dawah work since early 80s. He married from Karachi. He lived in Pakistan for a while, so that makes him even better Muslim. And then alhamdulillah, he spent almost 20 years in Saudi Arabia as well. So we honor that Brother Dawood is here as well. He's written a book about Dawah, and we've got a few copies of that book as well, which we'll be distributing. So he'll be conducting small workshops, mainly towards the sisters' side. And then at the end, we'll be allocating all of you about the Dawah stalls. So I'll be briefly talking about Commonwealth Games first, so what Commonwealth Games are, and then what we are doing about this. So most of you probably already know, Commonwealth Games are kind of mini Olympics. They happen once every 5 years. And in our lifetimes, probably in Birmingham, it's probably once in a lifetime kind of opportunity for us when they're coming to our city. So Commonwealth Games, the athletes, 7,000 athletes from 74 different countries and territories, they participate in these games. So the combined population of these countries is almost half of the world's population, almost 2.5 billion people live. So they're expecting that almost 1 billion people will be watching these games, and more than 1 million people are expected to visit Birmingham and surrounding areas during these games. So alhamdulillah, this is a huge number which is coming to our cities, and people who live in Birmingham could see the buzz that's happening due to these games. The whole city map has been changed, and so many things are happening. So that's why we thought it's important to be part of these. And the games are not just happening in Birmingham; they are happening in a few other venues around Birmingham, in Wolverhampton, Sutton Coldfields area around Birmingham, and then we've got some games happening in London as well. So our London brothers in London South Zone, they are organising the similar training in the South Zone next week. Some of the brothers and sisters who could not attend this training and they are watching live and they want to attend physically, that will be happening in South Zone. And the games will be happening the first 4 days in London as well, some cycling games. So Alhamdulillah will be setting up a stall there as well. And in Coventry as well, the games are happening. So mainly around West Midlands. So these are the venues of various areas around West Midlands, or mainly Black Country, where these games are happening. So what UKIM is doing, so basically we thought it's such a huge opportunity that's coming our way. So it's not, as a Muslim who wants to propagate the message of Islam, it will be probably negligent for us to let this opportunity pass. So it's important to keep our intentions clear. Alhamdulillah, we are doing it for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to carry on the mission of the Anbiya Prophet who brought this mission to us, to carry on that baton. So that's the sole intention. It's not for make our organization size bigger and all those things. Alhamdulillah, those will be byproducts, but the same intention which all of us should have in our heart. We're doing this for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And inshallah, if we have that intention, then Allah will put barakah in our work. So what we are doing in this campaign, so this campaign, basically we've been working on it for last almost two months now. So brothers, we are part of a team, we are working on this. And we are having three main aspects of this campaign. So one aspect is advertising. So you'll soon be seeing some advertisements coming in Birmingham. So we've got buses, billboards, and digital van. And I'll be talking more about you. And the idea about this campaign is that we'll be giving short messages about Islam, some Dawah messages, but then we'll be directing the viewers to visit our Dawah website, which is Gain Hope. We would also be setting up Dawah stalls, and we have chosen places mainly in Birmingham and Solihull town centres. We'll be setting up stalls during the duration of Commonwealth Games. And then probably for me, the most important thing of this activity is to build up a team of volunteers. And all of you are here, much more than what we expected. When we started working on it, we thought we'll probably have 20 people, then it went up to 30, 50. And alhamdulillah, now in our volunteers group, 131 people registered on that volunteer group. And we can thank Allah, mashallah, for all this blessing which we had. So one of the products of this campaign is that we want to build a team of volunteers, which would alhamdulillah continue after the games as well. So I'll be briefly talking about these campaigns. So buses, we've hired 43 buses, mainly in Birmingham. And the way we took is that we took two garages in Birmingham, Perry Bar and Ecox Green, so they're either side of Birmingham. Games are mainly happening in Perry Bar anyway, so there are 43 buses from these garages, and these are the maps. So they'll be covering whole of the Birmingham, and plus there are some routes going to Wolverhampton, some coming to Walsall. There are some routes that are going to Sutton Coldfield and Solihull. So alhamdulillah, hopefully if you are more mobile, you probably would be seeing some bus messages. Actually today, by the end of the, just as a last thing, today I'll be showing you, first time you can say it as a premiere, that the messages which we have selected for this Dawah campaign. Some of you might have seen we actually ran a campaign as well to invite all of our branches across the country to give us suggestions for Dawah messages. And alhamdulillah, we've got lots of wonderful suggestions. More than 50 or 60 people responded, and they gave us different types of messages. So we've shortlisted 3 messages, and alhamdulillah, we've built our campaign based on those 3 messages, but I'm not going to show them now. I'll show them at the end of the day today. Our actual posters and the things we'll be putting up on the buses and billboards, that's not final yet, but I've got some initial draft and we may be able to share that with you as well. And then we've got 9 billboards. So 9 is not a huge number, but all of these things are very, very expensive, and actually we had to raise money for this as well. So we hired 9 billboards, but we've strategically located them across Birmingham, some Commonwealth Games venues. So most of the people who will be entering Birmingham, or they'll be going around ring roads, they'll hopefully will be able to see our billboard messages. So these are the billboard locations which are mainly in Birmingham area. So Dawah stalls, so that's our main practical activity. Obviously, our Dawah messages, our team have been working on that for a long time, but most of you are not involved in that activity. But the activity which you would be involved in these are Dawah stalls. So we had lots of meetings, we did brainstorming where to put the Dawah stalls. There'll be various pros and cons of putting the stalls. The games are actually different from what happened in London. So in London, you had a Olympic village where the athletes were sitting. There was loads of different venues within 4 walls. In Birmingham, it's different. They couldn't complete the athletes village because of the COVID. So that got distributed in University of Birmingham, in Warwick University, NEC, but the games locations are in different places as well. So the main place, Alexandra Stadium, is in Perrybar, which is not far from here. But that stadium mainly has athletics event. And when we look at the map, so it was very difficult to find a place for stall where most people would come. And plus they had this Commonwealth Act that had some restrictions on us. So we finalized the Birmingham Town Centre, which has got a huge footprint anyway, one of the biggest town centre in the whole region, if not in the country. So we chose that for the stall location. And plus the Birmingham University is the biggest, 5,000 athletes are staying in Birmingham University. And hotels are all around town centres. So we thought town centre is a good location for stalls. The second location we chose was Solihull. And there were a few reasons behind that. First of all, Solihull again is a very good town centre. Lots of people go there for shopping. Plus the two of the major venues, NEC and Warwick University in Coventry, they are closer to Solihull as well. I myself am registered as a doctor, as a volunteer in Commonwealth Games, and I've attended few trainings. And I realized when they were giving us the trainings that Solihull is a kind of hub. Most of the hotels are already booked there. NEC is not a place where most of the visitors could see athletes are staying there. So Solihull again with identified as a good place. So these are the two places where we would be setting up stalls. Alhamdulillah, we had huge participation of sisters as well, and we started working on the campaign. We realized that sisters have got a lot of skills and mashallah passion to do dawah. So sisters suggested that in Solihull particularly they want to set up a stall separately for sisters. Alhamdulillah, if we get enough sisters as volunteers, we'll have a separate stall in Birmingham Town Centre for sisters as well. But the plan, how we want to do the stalls, depend on how many volunteers we get. And the idea was that all of you who are coming here for training, we want you to be registered as volunteers. So if you get more volunteers on a particular day, we are arranging small satellite stalls. So we'll have a standing bookshelf which you can take, for example, outside New Street train station and do some dawah activities there. So there'll be one main dawah stall, but there'll be some small satellite stalls that will be moving around at various busy places around the town centres. So this form, we call it volunteer allocation form. The brothers will be distributing this form to all of you now. If someone hasn't got this form, please let us know. We would like you to fill this form today by tea time, and by the tea time, inshallah, we want to collect this. So around 4 o'clock, we want to collect this form from you. So I would just like to explain this form to you before you start filling in. So there are two stalls, Birmingham stall and Solihull stall. We want you to please give us your name and phone number and email. We already got those things, but we need to link two things together. So please provide your details. So for Birmingham stalls, we've got the branches. So these branches are only related to Birmingham stall. So these are UKIM branches. So some of you are actually related to these branches. Some of you are not part of these branches. But those who are part of these branches, we would prefer you to take the days when your branch is responsible. For example, on Thursday, it's Sparkbrook Islamic Centre. On Friday, it's Elm Rock. Then Walsall and Wolverhampton, we gave them weekends because they are slightly away from the town centres. And then Blackheath and Sparkhill, because they're small branches, we mix them together. Handsworth, Spark, and then the same branch repeats again. So each branch basically get 2 days to take over their stalls. What we want people, brothers and sisters present here, is that don't please choose Saturdays and Sundays. Yes, we want you to, those who are from those branches, to choose Saturday and Sundays, but we want this to be equally distributed. The schools and colleges are closed. So alhamdulillah, youth particularly would be available. So those who could take some time spare out from their work, please do choose the weekdays as well. On Fridays, we'll be starting after Friday prayers. But please choose the days. So we've divided the shifts for the Birmingham stall into 2 shifts. So it's from 10 till 5 at the stall times, or from 10 till 1:30 and then 1:30 till 5 p.m. So if you can do both, well and good. If you can't, just choose one of those timings. So we've got the whole team where brothers will be transporting the stuff to the town centre, but we'll have a person in charge for a specific day who's mainly the dawah lead for that day, and you'll be all protected and you'll be supervised well. So what we want, that by the end of the day today, we'll collect all the data in the second session, and we'll be sharing with you how many people will be coming on which day, so that we can shift around people and request you to shift when needed to. For Solihull stall, because Solihull, we have a very passionate team, but slightly smaller team. So we are quite open how we want to do the Solihull stall. So Brother Farhan is leading the Solihull team. They're based at Manarat Foundation. I've got a few brothers here already from there. So it's Solihull, we've got brothers and sisters stalls separately. So if you can cover every single day, that would be good. So some brothers and sisters who live here, but they're not from Solihull, but they're available some day and they're happy to travel. Solihull is very well connected from Birmingham and from Walsall, trains and buses. They regularly go there and they go to the town centre where the stall would be. So we would encourage those who could give us time for Solihull town centre, please do. But some of our branches which are closer to Solihull, like Moseley, Tyseley, we would like them to participate into Solihull. But other brothers and sisters who could travel, so we would like, and Solihull is a very good town centre. Actually, the type of people who go for shopping, they are better social classes in financial sense. So it's a good place to do Dawah. So we would encourage you to please pick some options for Solihull. But if we are unable to fill the volunteers, then we would not be setting up stalls on all days. So we need these forms back from you around 4 o'clock. So we've got time to think and talk to your branch Dawah leads as well. So we've got brothers from all the branches here. So from Spark, brother Hayan is here, brother Jawad, Sheikh Wakar. From Alam Rock, we've got brother Javed Awan here. From Walsall, brother Imran is here. Wolverhampton, brother Imran would be here. Brother Abrar Afzal is here. So Blackheath, brother Tariq, Spark Hill, Molan Sab, Sajjad Sab are here. So Handsworth, brother Anjam, brother Mozam, they are here. So the people are here, and among sisters, we've got Sister Sadia, Sister Taiba, Sister Sarish, so all of them are available. Please share your details with them and ask them any question you want. So these are details we'll be sending to you through our WhatsApp group. So if some of you are not registered to our WhatsApp group yet, please let us know. We'll add you to the group. We keep the traffic minimum. Inshallah, after this program, you won't see too many messages coming, so it won't disturb you too much. But the idea is to develop the team, which inshallah we can take as a long run. So that's what we've already discussed. So we'll have a whole operation that's going behind the scene, how the stall is going to work, and inshallah you'll be involved, and we want to take your suggestions as well, how to make these things better, especially for the sisters. If there are other suggestions, some suggested try the scarf, hijab and mehndi and those type of things, so sisters can develop their own team to decide about sisters stall. But the Muslims, we are dying not just for Commonwealth Game. I think that this is a lifetime responsibility on all of us. And one activity, one thing which we want to achieve from this activity is to learn lessons, to gain more experience, and then take this experience to our branches. So later on, we want to set up stalls in our local branches as well. We invite non-Muslims to come to our masajid, and all the experience we learn through this campaign, we want to utilize this on. So now I would like to invite Brother Naseem Ashraf, who's come from Manchester. He's our zone, North Zone in charge as well, and he's leading Ganho to come and talk about the ethos of Dawah. Brother Naseem Ashraf.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Think by here. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Yeah. Down.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulil Kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillah. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق. Jazakumullah khairan, Dr. Saab. Thank you so much, UKIM Walsall Sharif, mashallah, for hosting this program, and what a beautiful turnout, mashallah. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you all. My name is Naseem. I'm from a sunny place called Oldham. This one? Yeah. Yeah. Or this one? Probably both. Okay. I'm from a little place called sunny Oldham. It's up north. I don't know whether any of you have had the pleasure of traveling up there, but alhamdulillah, it's very sunny most of the time. I kid you not. So today we're going to be talking about ethos and psychology of Dawah. I want to really talk about what is Dawah and how do we create that ethos that drives us to become da'is. So inshallah, first of all, but before I do that, I want to talk about who is UK Islamic Mission. So put your hands up if you know who UKIM are. Who knows what UKIM is? Everybody should know who UKIM is. We've been around a long time. Alhamdulillah. Very good. So I'm just going to touch on a few things that UK Islamic Mission is involved in. So we were founded in 1962 Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, by our great forefathers, our mentors. And I want to talk about some of the projects that UK Islamic Mission is involved in the UK. At the moment, we have Gain Hope, which is one of our initiatives. iCare, Alhamdulillah. Who's heard of iCare? Few people. MashaAllah, that's good. At least we care. New Muslim Care. Who's heard of New Muslim Care? Very few people. Very few people. Wow. So all these people are accepting Islam. What happens after that? New Muslim Care steps in. What about New Muslim Hubs? Got you. No problem, inshallah. We'll talk about what new Muslim Hubs do as well. School visits. Who's been involved with school visits, whether they're coming to the masjid or the masjid going to the school? Only a handful of brothers and sisters. Alhamdulillah. Okay. All right. Very good. Well, did you know that UK Islamic Mission is one of the first Muslim organizations that introduced Visit My Mosque or Mosque Open Days and school visits, that basically the members went into the schools and the schools came to visit us in the UK, one of the very first. Did you know that? Yes. Very good. So we have around 5,000 children that attend our madaris. We have about 10,000 people that attend our masjids on a weekly basis. I'm just going through a few things so that we understand what UK Islamic Mission is. We have over 350,000 visits to our various websites and social platforms. We served over 100,000 meals annually. We do this on an annual basis through our food hubs, through our iCare food hubs. Did anybody know that? Alhamdulillah, very good. We have hundreds of people who have accepted Islam through the years. We are probably one of the oldest, one of the largest Muslim organizations in Britain today. Did we know that? MashaAllah, very good. We raise millions in charity every year to help people globally around the world. We all knew that though, right? Very good, right, okay. So what's our vision then? Okay. Well, our vision is to provide every UK resident the opportunity to find out about Islam and foster strong relations with their Muslim neighbours. That's our Dawah ethos. That's our vision for the Dawah department. We've done that through community events like this one that you can see behind me. This was done at the Oldham Library. But we pick high footfall areas, create an exhibition, and we call the people who are passing by to give them the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but to give them practical solutions to their problems as well. These have been very, very successful over the years. Fosters a real good community ethos. Okay, so what does anybody understand about Dawah ethos? What is Dawah ethos? Anybody like to answer that question? We want to make this session very interactive, so I don't want anybody falling asleep on me, inshallah, although that has happened to me many a time. So put your hand up, please tell me. Dawah ethos, what is it? What's a Dawah ethos? Nobody want to have a go? Have a go, sister. Ethics behind Dawah, mashallah, and also the driving forces. Brilliant. I don't know whether that's readable out there. Is that readable? Right, so what does it say? A da'i is a da'i 24 hours a day. As Dr. Adil just mentioned before, we're not da'i just for the Commonwealth Games. We are always da'is. Can anybody give me a practical example of what that means? A practical example of something which has happened to you recently and you've turned into a da'i just like that. Okay.
Explain.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Every opportunity to relay the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A da'i is conscious. He's a conscious da'i all the time. Da'is always look at the surroundings, the environment, and address the scenario with appropriate responses. A da'i is very conscious of his environment or her environment. They address the issues or the scenario in an appropriate response. An appropriate response. Look at the etiquettes of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. He always addressed the problem, the challenge, with an appropriate response. Appropriate. It has to be appropriate. A da'i is one who connects people to the Quran and the seerah of Nabi sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. Does that make sense? He connects them to the Quran, he connects them to the Creator, and he connects them to the best practitioner of that holy book, Quran al-Kareem. Appropriate and strategic dawah is really missing in today's society. Really, really missing. There's a handful of brothers and sisters who do the appropriate dawah. For instance, this Islamophobic issues that we encountered just in the last weeks or so with the BJP in India, with the movie that's come out, etc. We've given those movies and that rhetoric more and more resources to flourish. We've aired it, we've done all their marketing for them. That's not appropriate dawah. We did the same in the 80s or late 80s with Salman Rushdie. We made him famous and wealthy overnight. It's not strategic, it's knee-jerk, and that's not appropriate. We need to be clever in what we do, we need to be strategic. One of the failings of our strategy is that we don't really identify who the target audience is. We talk about dawah, we just want to do the dawah, we want really passionate about it, which is great, which shows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got the right, He's put that iman and the taqwa inside of us. But we don't identify who is it that we're giving the dawah to. Identify the target audience. Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, when he was sending his entourage to Yathrib, to Medina, he sent, who did he send? Mus'ab ibn Umair. That's right. Why? Because he knew the people of Medina, he knew that this is going to be the appropriate dawah. He chose his people. We need to choose our dynamics. We need to choose the way that we deliver our message, and it has to be appropriate to the target audience. Da'is are solution providers to the community. I'll talk a little bit about problems that we've got in our society today, but they are providers of solutions. They don't just say to you that I come to you and I say, I'm hungry. I've just lost my wife. I've just lost my father. I've lost my parents. And we just say, well, here's the book of Allah. Read this. No. We give more holistic solutions. We always do a feasibility study before we start a business, before we start a new contract. Yet, when it comes to Islam or dawah, we don't hardly ever do any kind of feasibility study as to what is it that's led us to do or develop this strategy or deploy this type of strategy or use this strategy in this scenario. Hardly any feasibility study is done. And then we don't evaluate impact. What is this? What is the measure of our success on this campaign? We need to evaluate the impact that we've had so that we can improve all the time, right? Our dawah effort, our strategy has to be in line with our social media and online presence. If we have brothers and sisters who are not au fait with social media, but we need to find those brothers and sisters who are, who know how to use social media, who know how to use all the social media handles and do it appropriately so that we're delivering the right kind of message on those platforms as well. It is probably one of the most powerful mediums available in British society, well, in the world society today. It can topple governments. We're talking about changing mindsets. And our dawah has to be relative. If our dawah is not relative, we will not be heard. We will not be heard. Has to be relative. Some of the issues of society today: anxiety, loneliness, depression, destitution, mental health, homelessness, hopelessness. Some of the real problems of society. Some of the real problems of society are not that, oh, this brother doesn't come to the masjid anymore, or this brother is a Brelvi, or this one's a Sunni, or this one's a Wahhabi. These are not the problems of today. The problems of today are these. And our sons and daughters, our grandchildren, are facing these problems as well. We have to be provoking critical thinking. Rather than giving a copy of the Quran, we need to be provoking them to ask you, can I have a copy of the Quran? You look so well settled and in harmony, tranquil, peaceful. Can I have a copy of the Quran? What is it that makes you so happy? What is it that makes you so energetic? What is it that's caused you to do this, to create this paradigm shift? That's when we come in with well, it was the Quran al-Kareem that inspired me to do this. So the dire need. Before I go into this slide, has anybody got any questions so far? Really good, isn't it? No questions, mashallah. So there is a dire need for dawah. 30% of people are at a higher risk of an early death due to loneliness. This statistic was taken in 2020 by the National Office of Statistics. 2020, 30% of the public, the UK public in 2020, probably gone a lot higher now, but they are at risk of dying due to loneliness. More people have started to die because of loneliness than heart attacks. Is that feasible? Is that a possibility? That we ever thought in our lifetime that would happen because of loneliness? Really? 10,000 young Muslims leave Islam annually. Did anybody know this? The Muslim Council of Britain announced this a couple of years ago. 10,000 young Muslims. They leave, they denounce Islam. They say, never mind, we're not practicing. Never mind that. They just leave Islam. They actually say that we have left the deen. 78% Muslims call themselves non-practicing Muslims. Yeah. Muslims live in the most deprived areas of Britain today. 65% of Muslims are not given an equal opportunity to prosper. They are not afforded with the same opportunities as their non-Muslim counterparts. Did you know that? You want to talk about injustices, you want to talk about calling to good and enjoining the good and forbidding the wrong, becoming da'i. Look at the challenges that we're facing. 38% Muslims marriages break up in the first 3 years. Because we don't know what nikah is. We don't know the basics. Did you know that 39% of the British public, white British public, born and bred here, can't read or write adequately? Our children are following that suit too. More and more of our children are failing at school, cannot read or write. They're very good at browsing, clicking, can't read and write. 60% of the UK does not vote due to no confidence in the political system. Did you know that? 80% of the UK public believe that there is not a need for a God. Many charities have got together and done this. Some of them were Christian. Some of the charities that have done this, like the Christian Institute, they are the ones who publish some of these statistics. 90% of the UK public that religion is outdated and belongs in the dark ages, yet most of them also believe that we evolved from apes. What a misconception. Did you know that? that 90% of the public, you go into a town centre today and you ask the public, you ask 200 people, 90% of them will agree with this. Did you know that? 35% of the British public dabble in bisexual relationships. 35%, and it's growing. I had a case a few weeks ago in a school where there was a girl, and she went to her head teacher and complained that this girl, my school classmate, is making sexual advances on me, and I'm not comfortable. And the teacher said, "Oh, she's okay, it's all right, she's coming out as lesbian, etc., etc." These are real challenges. How do we deal with that as Muslims? 10% of Britain's schools have now started to implement the gender reassignment program without parental consent. These are real problems. These are real issues, real concerns, and real challenges. It might make us get up and say, you know what? It is dire need for Dawah. The LGBTQ hardline agenda is for children at schools to try homosexuality at least once within their schooling period. Who knows that much? How many people know this? Maybe a bit shy, we don't want to say. 200% increase in cases of self-harm or attempted suicide in the last 5 years. 200% increase. Food poverty. Over 3,000 food banks just in the United Kingdom. We are the third wealthiest economy in the world. And yet we've got 3,000 food banks. I want to share some statistics with you that the Muslim Council of Britain shared. That 1 in 10 Muslims are diagnosed with mental health problems. 62% unmarried or divorced by the age of 22 and 35. 67% engage in premarital sexual relationships. 91% of female youth are unhappy with their bodies. 15.5% prison population is Muslim, 4.8, yet we're only 4.8% in the whole of the UK. 10% are living in most deprived areas, in the most deprived areas of the UK. 1 in 4 Muslims hold no qualifications. 26% consume drugs and alcohol, and 78% teens living a double life. Do I need to go on and on and on? I don't need to go on. I don't think so. But after doing that kind of feasibility study, we came to the understanding that we needed a platform to give people hope. We needed to make an understanding that we need to go to Google, we need to go to the indexes and find out what it is that people are searching for after all these challenges are presented to us. Guess what they were hoping, guess what they were typing for, what they were Googling, what were the keywords that they were Googling, what were people Googling all around the world? Hope, gain hope, attain hope, I want hope, give me hope. That's what people were Googling. So we came up with the Gain Hope. Now, Gain Hope, there is a ICNA in America do a very similar one, but we found the domain name, Alhamdulillah, Allah's mercy, and we put the website together. Since January, up until January 2022, this has reached new heights. In just 14 months, we've had hundreds and thousands of visitors. They've been touched by the message of the Creator. They've been requesting Quran copies. They've been requesting literature. They've been requesting all sorts of things. We're getting phone calls, emails, etc., from all sorts of issues. Telephone calls as well on our WhatsApp messages, etc. We're #1 organically without spending a single penny on Google. because it's the highest search keyword probably in history. Over 130,000 visitors. 40,000 people who have stayed on the website for longer than a minute. Over 3,000 copies of the Quran being distributed, people asking for them. It's become a resource for schools to use in their school to teach Islam. Over 1,000 Islamic calendars have been distributed just using this website. Over 300 friends of Gain Hope. We can't really count the endless blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Gain Hope has been given that kind of attention. But it just goes to show when we strategize on our dawah, what we can achieve. And yet, we need a lot more volunteers to come together, pool together to build this platform to become even bigger. And it can be done. Same as the New Muslim Care website, the New Muslim Hub, this one, the iCare. These are solutions to the problems of society today. The decline in society is happening. It's right in front of us. Our children are facing these very same challenges. If we're not willing to get up and address these problems, wallahi, your salah, your zakat, your hajj, your everything else, not going to save us. Not going to save us. Has anybody visited the website since they know about UKIM? They must know about Gain Hope. Not yet? Inshallah ta'ala, do try and visit the website, have a look. We need your input. We do need to change a lot of things. We get that. But we put it together very, very quickly because we needed to respond to a tragedy, to this kind of disaster. So, last part of the session, inshallah, I think I've talked enough. Questions? No questions. Brothers and sisters?
Like as if we have been numbed by it. How can we work as Dawah organization? Increase the participation of people.
Wow, that's a very, very good way of putting it, sister. SubhanAllah, we've been numbed. We have been numbed. The local anaesthetic has become quite general. We need to use an antibody or an antibiotic or something, or you know, an antidote to remove that numbness. That numbness happens, sister, when we do not appreciate what Islam is. We don't appreciate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't appreciate the deen that we've inherited. We are Muslims by inheritance, Muslims by default, and not Muslims by choice. If you ask our children, when we want them to learn the deen, most of us learn the deen in order to issue a fatwa on someone else, and never upon ourselves. Never upon ourselves. So this is why we've been removed from the barakah. The barakah has been removed from our lives. Now it's a simple question: what is Islam? I'll give you an example. You know, this is a really, really good example. That if I ask you to put your hands up and said, please tell me in an academic way, what is Islam? How many non-Muslims ask us this question all the time? But every answer is different. Every answer is different. Why? Because we don't have that critical skill set to be able to really go into it and analyze all the nuances of what Islam actually is. That's why, because we don't appreciate it. We take it for granted. So if I did this exercise today and said, what is Islam? Put your hands up and give me an answer. Come on, guys. What is Islam? A way to live a life?
Faith in Allah and doing everything for the Homo sapiens.
Okay, mashallah. Worshipping in Allah and doing everything for the Homo sapiens. Very good. Alhamdulillah, like that. I'll use that next time. Yes, brother. Okay. Submission to Allah. Okay. Wow, very good, very good. Comprehensive, divine, inspired by? Inspired way of life. Okay. Right. So 5 people have answered the questions. Submission and serenity. 6 people have answered the question. Every single question. Islam is hope. Okay. Well, I went into a university and I gave a lecture on this. And I said to them, I said, this is the true definition of what Islam is. I said, the Arabic word Islam, noun, it derives from the root word salam, meaning peace. It is a system that God Almighty has sent down to his creation in order to conduct their affairs on earth whilst conforming peacefully and willingly to God's laws. That's what the system of Islam is. This is complete surrender, but it's the person that surrenders, not the system. The system is what gives you the pathway to surrender. Right? When the university professors saw this, and I don't have a PhD, by the way, I'm not a doctor. I barely got through my GCSEs. So the point I'm making is that the professors all came together and said, yes, this definition is palatable. This definition is palatable. Why? Because it resonates with our relativity. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never called it a religion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always calls it a deen, a way of life, a system. Are we in agreement with that? Okay, alhamdulillah. So who thought before this that Islam was a religion? Almost every Brit today thinks that Islam is a religion. Even we sometimes stand up and say the religion of Islam. Vocabulary is wrong, because religion literally means to religionize or swear an allegiance behind a cult or a person. Islam, therefore, is not a religion. When even the ayah of the Quran that they recited today follow the way of Ibrahim alayhi salam. This is a way. Even in the Bible, the Old Testament, when you look at the Arabic translation, the word is way, the way, deen. And all right, they kept changing it, now they've come up with that. So then, by that definition, who is Muslim? The clues in the word, who is Muslim? Ah, subhanallah, very, very good, alhamdulillah. Anybody else?
One who believes in nature of God Almighty and follows the way of the nature.
MashaAllah. Okay. Yes, brother. SubhanAllah. Okay, the second part of the word Muslim. Slim comes from the word Islam. Muslim, the observer of Islam, adherer of Islam, obeyer of Islam, follower of Islam. That's what literally Muslim literally means. Muslim is a verb.
A little root is salama. From salama, you implement.
Yes, that's right. So Muslim is a verb, it's a description given to a human being who consciously, willingly submits his will to God's system, sometimes giving up their own desires in testification that the Creator knows best. Only Allah Rabbul Alameen can decide whether you're Muslim or not. It's not a verb.
It's a noun.
It's a noun?
Noun, yes. Muslim's noun.
Okay. Is it not something that you do? Okay.
Doer is a noun, not a verb.
It's called active
Doer
participle.
is a verb.
Active participle.
Okay, okay. All right, fair enough. See? Alhamdulillah. So the point is, if we are doing, we remain Muslim. Allah decides who is Muslim or not. That's why Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam said that the man can be a believer by the morning and by nightfall he can be a disbeliever. Because something can take him outside of himself. We need to be conscious about this. And we need to remain inside the fold of Islam. So the point is that when we're explaining, we need to know what we follow. If we're confident of what we follow and how we go forward, then and only then can we relay the message of Islam and we can remove any misconceptions. Inshallah, in the workshops, we'll cover some questions and misconceptions, etc. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
youngsters sitting here, what and why youngsters come back to kind of Islam, offering them solutions of the contemporary problems when they're searching online, finding very confusing messages
Yeah.
in regards to LGBT or whatever.
Yeah.
Why? I've been to so many places, but to be honest, we don't have answers and solutions for these questions. Why? What's the problem if somebody has some other sexual desires and whatever?
Yes, that's a very good question, brother. And the thing is that we don't afford the youngsters the platform to do it. In this hall full of so many people, if one youngster got up and said to me that, I have sexual desires for men, one boy said that, think about the reaction that they would get. So they won't come out like that. Okay? These things need to be discussed privately, and they need to be done on a platform where they can be done by a scholarly figure who can address these issues as well. Yeah, so there's got to be someone who knows the topic, who has basically gone through the deep study. But we do need to afford our children, our girls and boys, the platform to be able to come forward and put their challenges on the table. And then we can do it very sensitively and privately, alhamdulillah. We can give them and empower them to be able to come out with that, inshallah, and fix the problems. Drugs is a big problem.
And a big problem. Again, because family structures are not supporting, unfortunately. As you said, written, they're not educated in that level to give our children a good upbringing. Unfortunately, they kind of start taking drugs in a very early age. So
Absolutely,
we try to kind of give them some sort of pathway.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your
There's a brother there. Just got the last final question, and then we'll any more questions we can put them in the Q&A session too, inshallah. Yes, brother.
The percentage of Islamic income is spent on Dawah. How many people in the Shura, the government and are those?
That's a question for senior leadership, alhamdulillah. Brother Zahid right there watching me on this, and Brother Adil is here. I'm sure they can answer those questions. UK Islamic Mission is a registered charity, so any financial information can be found on Charities Commission website as well. You can log in and download that. But our senior members are here, so inshallah, I'm sure they'll be able to help that. But Jazakallah khair for that. Jazakallah khairan. If I've said anything good today, it's come from Allah Rabbul Alameen. If I've said anything not so good, it's come from myself. I pray that you can forgive me for that. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Naseem, for very thought-provoking discussion. MashaAllah, it wakes all of us up. So MashaAllah, you won't let anyone sleep with these figures, Brother Naseem. So before we go to the second speaker, we know that some of the brothers and sisters did not get the chance to have food. So we have arranged some food. So I would request the brothers who have not had the food. There will be tea break, but that's at around 4 o'clock. So if you could please go to this hall, the food is displayed. So those brothers who have not had the food, please go to the hall. And sisters, they've already had it, so displayed in the room. So please feel free to go out while the talks continue and have some food. You need to have your stomach filled before, obviously, you could retain information. So I'm going to request Dr. Naveed Ahmed to come. Dr. Naveed is a Murabbi and Alhamdulillah Dai and a teacher for last 20 years, and he's come from far north to be with us today. And I'll actually hand over the stage from here onwards to Brother Dr. Naveed, because he is leading the team of Adil Naveed.
Presentation. Should be
Bismillah, walhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. It gives me great pleasure to see you all before me. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to speak to a room full of people who want to follow in the footsteps of the prophets, alayhi salam. And it humbles me as well to see this. Now, I've been asked to talk to you about psychology of Dawah. First question, are there any psychologists in the room? Anyone got a psychology degree? Because you could come and do the talk instead of me. Okay. So how do I move this?
Just down. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So the first most important thing that we would say is, and if you take anything away from this presentation, it's this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Udu ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'idatul hasana wajadilhum billati hiya ahsan." And that is, invite all to the way of your Lord with wisdom, with hikmah, and beautiful preaching, and argue with them in ways or reason with them in ways that are best and most gracious. You know, essentially, this is the entire psychology of Dawah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the miracles of the Quran is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can encapsulate immense concepts, things that you would need to write a whole book on in your human language. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can encapsulate it in part of a sentence. Just like, for example, the laws of inheritance. You know, literally in one ayah, the entire connotations have been covered on the laws of inheritance. On all the aspects of dawah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has encapsulated in this ayah. So ultimately, you know, just to break this down, invite all, udu, which is a command form. So fi'l amr, it's a command form for those of you who've learned some Arabic. So it's a command. What are we commanded to do? To invite, not to force or to push or to castigate, but to invite. Like you would invite an honored guest to your house for dinner. Like you would invite someone to a wedding. Like you would invite someone, you know, to a special occasion. And that is the invitation, dawah. And what are we inviting to? We're not inviting to any ideology. We're not inviting to a group. We're not inviting them to, you know, admire us. What we're doing is we're inviting them to the way of our Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then beyond that, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains how to do it. So the key point is to do it with hikmah, with wisdom. And sometimes wisdom is to speak. Sometimes wisdom is to remain silent. Sometimes wisdom is to use certain words, to use certain times, and to use certain places to do dawah. And that's why it's so important to understand this concept of wisdom, hikmah. And don't please substitute hikmah with procrastination and laziness, like some people do. Beyond that, how are we supposed to do it? We have to make the invitation beautiful, beautiful. You know, something that is attractive. And you know, Brother Naseem has done a, mashallah, fantastic job in talking about hope, the word hope. You know, people are seeking something, they need something, they're attracted, and they're attracted to that word hope. You know, so we have to give them hope. You know, when we go forward to in another age, in another time, people may have wanted security more than hope. And in that time, Islam would have been able to provide security. Now, Islam can provide hope and much more besides. And argue, and that's reason, because ultimately human beings, we are rational individuals. You know, we seek the truth. It's in our nature. You know, for us, it's, you know, If someone says something to us, for many of us, we're not just going to say, oh, yeah, that's true. Like the COVID pandemic blew this entire thing open, you know. You had a whole medical establishment, me being one of them, who was talking about this virus that was going through the entire population. And, you know, in many ways it was frustrating, but in other ways it was encouraging because people were questioning us. We said, we don't care if you're a doctor. You have to persuade us. You know, we don't care if you're a doctor. You have to tell us why this is important. And, you know, I don't have an issue with conspiracy theorists at all. In fact, they're great because they're not like sheep. You know, they're willing to question and they're willing to challenge. And we as Muslims can answer all of those challenges. That's the bottom line. Anyway, let's move on. So if you Google Islam, now, we talked about Googling hope. Everyone's Googling hope. But if someone wants to turn around and say, right, I tell you what, I'm going to Google Islam, right? I don't know what all these Muslims and this Islam business is, but I'll just go on Google and type in Islam, see what all that business is about. Apparently, these guys offer hope. Let's see what Islam is. So the first line of images, because most people are now looking at, you know, they're not reading, as the brother mentioned, what was it? 2/3 of people have problems reading now. So what they do is they look at the pictures, and these are the pictures that come up on the first line of Google. So this, when you look at that, right? So let's talk psychology. Psychology is ultimately about perception, feelings, emotions, and thinking. All right. So from the sisters, when you look at that, what do you see as a Muslim? What do you see as a Muslim? Come on. Unity, right? You got one structure there. Everyone's around that structure, right? Brilliant. Brothers. Yes.
House of Allah.
House of Allah.
Made first time by Ibrahim.
Made by Ibrahim alayhi salam. Okay? According to some Adam alayhi salam. Anyway, right, let's go to the back. There's someone stuck their finger up there.
Yeah.
MashaAllah, you're taking shahada, yeah? Anyway, yeah, go on. Gathering mob. Oh, right. You anticipated my next question, which was, what would the non-Muslim think? Brother is very sharp. You know, we should really make sure this brother goes in a Dawah stall. He's so sharp, he's anticipated the next thing, which is, what would a non-Muslim think? So, okay, so gathering mob. Okay, fair enough. Sister's got a hand up. What would a non-Muslim think? They're worshipping a big black thing, yeah? Yeah, it's not very flattering, is it? Yeah. The sister in the back with the hand up. Terrorist, what was... Okay. Right. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yeah, okay. Huh? So even a non-Muslim would think, oh, wow, look at all those people. They're there together. You know, like they got Glastonbury Festival, and they go on and on about, oh, all these people are together, and they're there for some other purpose, but they're all there together. How wonderful. Yes?
Typical Muslims can't queue up.
Typical Muslims can't queue up, yeah? Yeah, why are they all in a circle? Why aren't they in a big long line? Yeah, next. A cult? Okay. So, yeah, so they're all sheep, and they're all stood around this big thing. No one seems to be using their head, yeah? Okay, anyone else? Yeah. Huh? Spirituality, yeah. So they're looking at that and thinking, whoa, that's pretty, look at the size of it. You know, look how many people there. That must be something going on there that's attracting these people. Yeah, next. Yeah. Exactly, brilliant. So they're thinking, what's going on? I've never seen this before. You don't get that in Solihull, do you? Isn't it? Yeah, there'd be a problem if you had that in Solihull. But anyway, the point is, you know, don't worry, we're going to ask some more questions. We'll move on, right? Okay, this is the first line image. You go on Google and you go across that first line. This is across, I think, on the far right on Google when you Google Islam. So you look at that, and what do you as a Muslim see? I'll have just one. And what do non-Muslims see? So what does a Muslim see? Yes. Obedience. Okay. What do non-Muslims see? Kissing the carpet. Yeah, exactly. Or smelling it. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe they're doing some kind of exercise. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Anyone else? Yoga. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes. Meditation. All right. Anyone else? Subjugation. Yeah, absolutely. So, and they all happen to be the women. So why did they put on Google an image of a load of women, you know, are on the floor like that with their head on the ground? Yeah. So what I'm saying is, it's the perceptions are very important. You know, someone Googles Islam, this is the type of stuff they're going to see. Right. This gets worse now. So you Google Muslims, right? So alhamdulillah, we hope they're going to Google Islam, because when you Google Muslim, you're going to start seeing some stuff here, right? Okay. So Google Muslims, right? So this is, yeah, this is on the first line. I think this was the first line. So you're having a look at that right now. You know, as a doctor, I'm a bit worried about that child. But anyway, let's just move on to right. What do you see as a Muslim? What do you see as a Muslim? Muslim. Yes.
Caring husband.
Caring husband, mashallah. Exactly. He's carrying the kid instead of making her do it. Mashallah. Right, okay. Happy family, yes. Togetherness, yeah. Mashallah, mashallah. Very good. Brother's a bit worried, yeah. Why is he worried? The mother's worried, yeah, you're not holding the baby right. Look at the neck. Anyway, so yeah. Yeah, parental love. Excellent. So it's a very positive image we have. But mashallah, you're a very biased crowd. Yeah. I reckon if we went out in Solihull on the street and we started asking people, Muslims even, what do you think of that? Some of them would point to the niqab, wouldn't they? They'd be like, oh, what's all that about? Anyway, so, okay, as a non-Muslim, what do you think a non-Muslim who Googled Muslims and saw this might think? Yes, young man. All right, yeah, that's good. Yeah, having the child there, mashallah, very good young man. Yes. Controlling what? Okay, yeah. Yes. Kidnapping. Okay. Right, brother in the back. Oppression. Why? Yeah. Yeah, so they're thinking, well, why has he got his face uncovered and why is she covered? Why is she having to cover up her face? Right, yeah, let's not say that too much. Anyway, you know, I want to be able to drive home today, okay? Right, okay, next. Anyone else? Sharia law, yeah, okay. This is the end, yeah. Letterbox, yeah, exactly. Our glorious Prime Minister, yeah. So the point I'm making here is your perception, their perception, huge difference. And in psychology, you need to understand this. What about this? This was on the second line, if I'm being fair, or almost on the first line. So, right, okay, what's a non-Muslim going to think when they see this? Violence, huh? Arrest, aggressive, yeah, aggression, intolerance, freedom of what? Freedom of talk, okay. Fine. So there's lots and lots of images like this, you know, and this as well, you know. So again, you know, we won't go into all of that. So, you know, you don't need to guess. There's research on what British people think about Islam. And we're going to go through that now. Because, you know, when you do Dawah, you need to understand who you're talking to. What, you know, what statistically is likely to be going through that person's head. So, inshallah, now pay attention because you are entering the British mind. All right. And a lot of these people are going to come to you when you're doing Dawah. So, what's going on in their head? And this is important. Okay. So, 1 in 3 in UK, Islam threatens British culture. All right. Aisha Khan did this study 2019, right? I don't think the figures would have moved much. Now, there's two ways of looking at this, and I don't want you to get all depressed. I was Brother Naseem did an amazing job, mashallah, and pointing out the dire need. But don't become too depressed. Okay, there are challenges, but with every challenge, every dark cloud, there's a silver lining. So can someone tell me what the silver lining is here? What's the silver lining here? Yes. 1 in 3 people know enough about Islam to think it threatens them. Okay. Anyone else? Yes. Exactly. So if 1/3 think it threatens, then 2/3 either don't think it threatens or they don't know. Yes. Because remember, there's always 3 answers: yes, no, don't know. Okay. So there's a silver lining here. Yeah. You might be thinking, you might be sat there thinking, oh, all non-Muslims think we threat. Only 1/3. So this is actually, as a da'i, you always need to psychologically turn it around in your head to something positive. Okay. Always think of a challenge as an opportunity. Next, do you think Islam is generally compatible with the British way of life or generally a threat? Yes. So threat is, for some reason, they labeled it red. It should have been the other way, isn't it? Red is a threatening color, but here red means compatible and blue means threat. So 35% of overall population think there's a threat. 30% think it's compatible, and then obviously the remainder, whatever that is, 35% will think they don't know, they have no idea. So what I'm saying here is, you'll get a rough idea, and you need to always think about the person talking to you. What might they be thinking? Next, 1/5 of white non-Muslims believe that British culture is under threat from invasion. I don't know what invasion this is. I think last time it was the Nazis in World War II. Anyway, research shows Islamist and far-right ideas are resonating with young people. Concerns about extremism. How concerned are you about the possible rise of extremism? So on the far, your left, we've got Great Britain. 2/3 of people are fairly concerned. So 2/3 of the people coming to you will have this stuff going on inside the brain, cogwheels turning. All right. Now, the thing to remember is British people are wonderfully polite and wonderfully obtuse. Obtuse means they're not particularly direct, like a lot of German people, very direct, they'll just come and say it straight to you. And those of you people who've lived in Britain may find that, oh, that's a bit in my face. British people are very, very polite. They don't want to offend you. But that is what's going on in their head. Ratings. It's all about the ratings, isn't it? Yeah. So ratings of Muslims, Christians, and Jews. So if you look on this, we've got, this was a Pew's study. In Britain, 2/3, this is very positive, isn't it? 2/3 of people overall have a favorable opinion of Muslim, favorable rating. Of course, Christians and Jews have a higher rating, but we're not that far behind. So take something positive away from this. There are challenges. It's about 1/3 will be a challenge, but 2/3 hopefully. And you can go down, mashallah, in Pakistan, 95, you would have thought it'd be like 99%, right? But anyway, 95%. Okay. Now this is interesting. Traits associated with Muslims. So what non-Muslims think, if they were given a word, what kind of words they would use to describe you. All right. So fanatical, 58%. I put a red, minus there. But look at this, 51% think you're honest. That's pretty good. If I go and ask a Muslim and say, what's the most positive thing that non-Muslims think about you? They might say, oh, family, We worship, you know, we have a system of Islam, you know. In actual fact, 51% of people think you're honest. And that is wonderful when you want to do dawah, okay? Because when you talk, they will believe you. Look at this. Violent, yes, we know about that one. Generous, 41%. 41%. That's pretty good. Arrogant, unfortunately. Selfish, a third. 30% think you're tolerant, which kind of makes you wonder, what about the other 2/3? Which we've covered already. Respectful of women, 1 in 5, yeah? So some work to be done there. So let's talk about our own psychology. The biggest enemy of you doing anything is shaitan and yourself, all right? Getting up for Fajr, you know, deciding to actually study Islam properly with a scholar, you know, putting in the hours, you know, applying for university, applying for a job, you know, anything, you know, you are your own worst enemy. Often you will talk yourself out of it. You'll either say, oh, I'm not good enough for this, or you'll say, oh, I'll do it later, I'll do it some other time, you know, or you might say something like, you know, oh, Brother Dawud and Brother Zahid, they do all dawah, mashallah, let them do it. They know what they're doing. I have no idea, you know. And unfortunately, these are waswasa from shaitan, right? Because shaitan, you know, has his own army, yes? He has his own army. And he doesn't want an army of people calling to the truth, opposing, yes? So, first one is shaitan, right? Just like he fights you at Fajr, he fights you particularly in Dawah, because you are, unfortunately for him, undoing all his hard work, yes? So in Dawah, you are public enemy number 1. You are the primary target. You are the high value target that needs to be taken out, right? Why? Because someone who goes and worships, mashallah, all the time in the mosque, yeah, for shaitan, that's a minor issue, you know? They'll slowly degrade their worship. But for the one who's going out and reversing all the work of shaitan, you are a big target. And you will be challenged and you will be attacked by shaitan in ways you can't even imagine. So that's why it's so important to understand any negative thoughts on dawah are a waswasa from shaitan. Next. Fight or flight. So anytime you face an unfamiliar situation, yeah. So I might say something like, right, brother, just to keep you awake, do you want to do the talk for the next 10 minutes? Yeah. He's already suffering a fight or flight response. He's thinking either there's the exit or that one. I'm not sure which one. Anyway, so the fight or flight response, what is it? The fight or flight response is a stress response. It's a response, it's a protective mechanism that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in you. It's a physiological response. So if, for example, through that door, you know, a 500-pound Siberian tiger came through that door, I can guarantee you all of you would have a fight or flight reaction. And so what happens is, you know, the adrenaline kicks in, your heart rate starts pumping fast. Your mind becomes emotional and not logical, because you don't need to be working out quadratic equation calculations while fighting or running from a 500-pound tiger. You need to be running as fast as you can or fighting as hard as you can. So you don't need the higher processes of logical thinking when fighting a tiger. You need rage, yeah, or you need fear. And unfortunately, people in dawah situations, I've seen this time and time again, and I was the same. When we first started, it was absolutely terrifying. It was scary. I was thinking, oh, someone's going to ask me a question that I'll have absolutely no idea how to answer. And I'm going to look really foolish, right? And this is going to be in public. This isn't even in private. This is going to be in public. So we're talking public humiliation here, right? So it's just like standing up and talking to people in a group, yeah? Some people who've done it a few times get used to it. But there's some people, like for example, Margaret Thatcher. So some of our older people might remember her. Margaret Thatcher said it didn't matter how many thousand speeches she made. Whenever she stood up to talk, she felt the nervousness in him. And the point I'm making here is whenever you do something beyond your normal, that's eating, sleeping, driving, going to the masjid, chatting to your friends, working. When you step outside of normal, you start getting stressed. It's like that tiger that's just come into the room. And the fact of the matter is that protective mechanism to protect you from the tiger, it's to get blood to your muscles. It's to get you fearful or maybe even angry to fight the tiger. And that's a basic physiological mechanism of protection. Now, anytime you're stressed, it kicks in. And you feel stressed when you're facing something unfamiliar or you feel you can't handle it. Yeah. So if you remember the first time you passed your driving test, mashallah, there's a few of you, right? Put your hands up if you passed your driving test. Oh yeah, still awake. That's good. So those of you passed your driving test, do you remember the first time you drove without a driving instructor? Or the first time you drove without, Ammi ji or, Auntie ji or Uncle ji next to you or your dad. Do you remember that time, the first drive you had, yeah? Well, you remember it, don't you? Why? Because you were stressed. You thought, yeah, listen, I passed the test, but I've got to drive on my own now. And that's what happened. Part of the stress reaction is that the blood is diverted away from digestion. So that lovely rice that you just ate, if a tiger came in through this door, the job of your body is to run or to fight, not to digest the lovely rice at that moment in time. So that's why blood is diverted away from your gastrointestinal tract, which includes your mouth. So when you're stressed, your mouth goes dry and then your tongue sticks. And then you start stuttering. And then that makes you even more worried and stressed. So it's like a negative feedback loop that is a vicious circle. So that's the thing to understand. It's not that you're inadequate. You're not inadequate. You're just stressed, okay? And that's a normal physiological response. Right, so what causes it? If you feel you don't have the knowledge to do dawah, if you feel you don't have the skills to do dawah, and if you don't feel you have the confidence or the experience to do dawah, right? So hands up here, who's actually stood on a dawah stall before? So we've only got a small minority, yes, who've done it. And the point I'm making here is those of you who've never stood on a dawah stall may think, oh, how am I going to do this? But don't worry, we're training you today for that. Anyway, and then finally, those of you who have been on dawah stall, you need to worry about the other side. So initially you're stressed and you're worried, can I do this? But you've done it a few times, and then the danger is you go too far the other way. You start thinking, I know this, or this guy's going to come and I'm going to beat him in an argument, or I'm going to show him how wrong he is and how great Islam is. That is deadly. Do not do that, all right? That is basically a proud individual, an arrogant individual. Quickest way to turn someone away from Islam is to act in a proud and arrogant manner, or a biased manner, or a conceited manner, or, you people, right? As soon as you do that, you lost them, all right? So remember, you're not there to win the argument. You're there to win the heart. Okay, so again, we've covered this. Next, the other thing to remember is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself is saying, who is better in speech than one who invites to Allah and does righteousness and says, indeed, I am of the Muslims. So whenever you're feeling stressed, you think, oh, I don't know if I want to do this, just remember this ayah as well. You remember the command, Udu ila sabili rabbika, and you remember this ayah. Who is better in speech? This is you going on a dawah stall, you talking to non-Muslim, that speech is way better than any speech you could do with your mates, all right? Or your friends or your brothers or your sisters. This is the best speech, okay? The best speech in creation is Quran, we know that. But this for you as an individual is the best speech. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and this, this is in Quran. Quran is giving the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Kul hadihi sabili adu ila Allah, ala basira ana wa man ittaba'ani." Now the translation here is "Kul," say, this is my way. Hadihi sabili, right? So this is my way. Who's saying this? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I call on Allah with basira, which is sure, certain, decisive knowledge. So many times I'll see people on Dawah stalls saying, "Oh, why are you here?" They might say, "What's all this about? What's this? Why are you here to talk about Islam?" And the first thing that comes out of the mouth of the Muslim is, "Oh, there's a lot of conspiracy against Muslims, and everyone's out to get us, and blah blah blah." That's not basira. That's not certain knowledge. Certain knowledge is La ilaha illallah, because you certainly believe La ilaha illallah. You certainly believe Tawheed. You certainly believe that the Quran is the word of God. You certainly believe that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last and final messenger. So the point I'm making here is talk simple. Keep it really simple. Keep it straightforward. You don't need to give them advanced Maturidi Aqidah versus Ashari Aqidah versus other Aqidah fine points. You don't need to do that, right? You just need to talk to them very simply about something you're certain of, which is you're a Muslim, you believe in one God, and then have that conversation, all right? It's that simple, right? It's not hard. And then if you are going to talk about certain things. Don't just talk about, "Oh, I think this and maybe that and should this and could have that." Yeah. Just stick to very clear things which are in the Quran, in the Sunnah, that type of thing. All right. And that's from Surah Yusuf, in case anyone doesn't know, 12. So now this is very important ayah. Does anyone remember or understand this ayah when it occurred to Musa alayhi salam? When did Musa read this dua? Does anyone remember? Yes. Yes. And why was he worried, slightly worried, before going to see Fir'aun? Why? Sorry? Yeah. Right, yes, exactly. So he was a fugitive who'd left Egypt. Basically people were out to get him. All right. Yeah. So people wanted to get him, and people wanted to arrest him. People wanted to punish him. So he was a wanted man. All right. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, look how he tests the prophets. And we're not testing you this way. Musa alayhi salam's getting tested this way, right? You should be grateful that you haven't gone through this test. So he is having now to go back to the only superpower on the planet at the time, which is Egypt, to the most oppressive Zalim ruler, possibly one of them in history, Fir'aun, right? And he has to go back and invite them to Islam, right? So what did he do? He said, قال رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So that's what Musa alayhi salam said. He said, "Oh my Lord, expand me my breast." Why? Because he was having the fight or flight reaction. That heart was pumping really fast because the adrenaline was kicking in, right? So he said, and your chest start feeling constricted. You almost feel like you're running out of air when you're under stress. So he said, "Oh Lord, expand me my breast." So that's a literal interpretation. Metaphorical is basically give me, bravery and strength. Because prophets, they don't ask for help from other people. They ask straight from Allah. Ease my task for me, because only Allah can do that. And remove the impediment from my speech. so they may understand what I say. And ultimately, this is about the non-Muslims understanding what you are going to say during these Commonwealth Games and beyond, inshallah. So traits associated with Muslims amongst, we've talked about this already. Remember the positives. They think you're honest. They think you're generous. They think you're tolerant, at least a third of them. And believe it or not, 1 in 5 actually believe you're respectful towards your women. So that's a good start. That's a good start to start from. Okay, but now some of you are thinking, oh, Dr. Naveed, he's done this so many times, but, I don't know enough about Islam to do da'wah, right? So basically, you know, once you've become a top scholar, you know, mujtahid fil madhab or something like that, yeah, then that day is never going to come, unfortunately. That's a waswasa from shaitan, okay? Everyone in this room, I can guarantee you, even you, young man, how old are you? Yeah, you have to think about that. You're 10, okay. So 10, right? Even you know enough to be able to do da'wah. Why? Because you know La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, don't you? Yeah, good. That's it, you know, one ayah, right? So Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, convey from me even one verse. Even one verse. All of us know one verse. Yes? Good. Next. Shaitani waswasa number 2. If I do da'wah, I'm going to get in trouble. You know, maybe my job, someone from my job's going to see me. You know, maybe the police going to think, what's this guy doing here? You know, or maybe some lady's going to look at me and thinking, oh, she's a bit radical, you know, that type of stuff. So the point is, this is again shaitan, right? Shaitan. This is very important, and it's a scary hadith where Prophet ﷺ said, whoever hides knowledge, you hiding La ilaha illallah, Allah will brand him with the branding iron from the hellfire. And that is why it's such a serious responsibility on us. It's a massive responsibility on us. Because, you know, you can't expect just a website to do dawah for you. You can't expect a video of Zakir Naik to do dawah for you, right? You are living amongst the community here. You know, in a majority non-Muslim country. This is our job. But let's hear Shaitani Waswasa number 3. My English isn't good enough. Now, हमें तो अंग्रेजी तो आती ही नहीं सही तरह. Now, all of this business, yes? But the point is, you're living here, aren't you? Isn't it? You're living here. You know, if you broke your leg or your hip, unfortunately, falling down some stairs, as many of our older people do, you know, generation 1, generation 2, I'm sure they could still tell A&E where the pain is, right? So the point is, your English is good enough. Your English is good enough. I'll tell the story of a brother. I won't embarrass him by mentioning his name, but he was from, let me see, northwest frontier Pakistan. He turns up and he goes to, I think it was the ISB big, you know, the big event that they do in 4 County Showground. Yeah. So this one brother, mashallah, he had the heart of someone who wanted to do dawah. He had the heart, but he didn't have the English for it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to show all of us, and he's showing all of us. This story happened over 20 years ago, and still every dawah talk, this story is mentioned. And it is it's an example for all of us. This person comes from KP, doesn't really know English. No English, right? And he basically stands at a dawah store. And in one day, 7 people take shahada at his hand. He knew virtually 0 English. So none of you have this excuse. Musa alayhi salam had a stammer or a stutter. Practice. So the more you practice, the better you're going to get at this. I mean, you know, someone like, I don't know, Shabir Ali, who's one of my teachers, he said he didn't know much about Islam. He started going to churches and discussing Christianity with them. They'd ask a question, he'd go away, research, and come back and answer. And this happened over years until now, no Christian missionary can face him. So what I'm saying to you is, you will learn a lot of your Islam from the questions you are asked by the non-Muslims. So in actual fact, you will benefit from doing Dawah. You will benefit. Now, again, we've talked about this ayah, so let's move on. But there is another problem. Let's see what Shaitan is saying now. What if I fail? What if I say something that puts them off Islam? What if I make a disaster? Yes. What if I do something that's going to put them off and they don't want to hear about Islam anymore? Shaitani waswasa, I can guarantee you. Verily, you do not guide whom you like, but Allah guides whom He wills. And who is Allah saying this to? The most eloquent from mankind, the most knowledgeable from mankind, the one with the best character and manners, and the most smiling face, the most beautiful face, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Allah tells him, you do not guide whom you like. Allah guides whom He wills. And He knows best who are guided. So whether someone comes to Islam or goes away from it is not your issue. Your job, your issue is to be present. Your job is to convey that one ayah or more. That's your job. Whether they accept or not, it's not your problem. And it's not your stress. And it's not your anxiety. Okay? So park that somewhere far away. Yes.
أسلمتم
Absolutely. Jazakallah.
فقديت لهم أن تولوا إنك عليك البلاغ.
Absolutely. As Uncle is saying here, our job is to do our job. The rest is Allah is the one who turns the hearts. And it is not for any soul to believe except by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they walk away from you after 1 hour of discussion and say, I don't like this, I don't want anything to do with this, it wasn't your fault. You are rewarded for your intention and action, regardless of the result. All right, so don't worry. Don't worry about the results. Don't stress. Right, next. Don't also bring your own biases into the equation now. All right. Yes, some people are biased about us, but we, unfortunately, have bias about others too. So park your biases. Park them far away. So look at this. Muslims think about Westerners. Selfish, 2/3. Violent, 2/3. Greedy, 2/3. Immoral, nearly 2/3. Arrogant, 57%. Fanatical. Respectful of women, it's better than the 22% that we scored on, isn't it? Honest, tolerant, but at least 1/3 or so are tolerant and honest, generous. But we need to start thinking in a bit more positive way about the people we want to invite to Islam. That's what I'm saying here. Okay, so the solution to fight or flight is first, recognize, oh, I'm getting really worried and stressed here. Oh, my heart's pumping. Oh yeah, Dr. Naveed said my tongue will be going dry and I'll have a problem speaking soon, yeah? So as soon as you start recognizing this stress reaction, it starts going down, all right? Because it's not due to a problem with you, it's just your physiology. And take a few deep breaths, calm down, and just take one footstep in front of the other, okay? You don't have to, get the gold medal in the 100-meter race. You just need to take part in the race, okay? So the point I'm making here is, You recognize it and you adapt to it. Yes. Number two, as Brother also said, there will be support for you. There'll be people helping out. Develop your knowledge. Now, we've sent you lots and lots of questions and answers. Read those. Put your hand up if you read those already. Look at that. MashaAllah. Sisters, always good students. Nearly all of them read, and less than half of you guys have read. Obviously, you're very busy, but still, do read it. That will develop your knowledge. And one thing I will say about those question and answers, don't worry, you won't be asked that hard questions. But if you can answer a question that hard, you're already way, way, way ahead of 99.9% of people. All right. Develop the skills of confidence. So the course today is you're going to have practical one-to-one training. And through this practice, your trainer will role play a non-Muslim. And they're going to ask you questions. And then you will be given some positive feedback and ways to improve as well. By doing this a few times, suddenly you're going to be like, actually, I can do this, inshallah. Right. And then understand their psychology. So next, but we talked about their psychology, but why? So why will someone not accept the word of God? Why will someone not think, oh, actually, those Muslims, mashallah, they seem happy, they seem to have decent family life. Why are they doing that? Why? Because Shaitan's diverting them onto Love Island or something else. Yeah, Shaitan's diverting them into Next. Shaitan's diverting them into, right, when's my next holiday? Where am I going? There's lots of ways to divert people, Or Shaitan is diverting them in an even more negative way, saying, look at all those guys, look at all these brown faces here. They're not like me. I'm different to them. That's their religion. That's not my religion, that's theirs. They're from another country. So this is what I'm saying. These are barriers that need to be overcome. And of course, there's ignorance. There is ignorance, because if rationally someone looks at Islam and looks just at Aqidah, there's nothing that can match Islamic Aqidah at all. Atheism got blown out of the water 1200 years ago by the Maturidis. Absolutely destroyed. They couldn't come back until recent times, when people became ignorant. Misconceptions. So of course, the media and that type of thing. And then cultural attitude. Let's talk about that first. So this I pulled from the UKIM website. Now, if someone looks at this picture, becoming Muslim. Now, we did the exercise already. What will a Muslim think? What will a non-Muslim think? Let's go straight to, what do you think a non-Muslim is going to think? So this is the end result of your da'wah. Someone's going to become a Muslim. What do you think a non-Muslim is going to think when they see that? Yes? There's a white guy there. Okay, anything else? There's someone, I think you were putting a hand up, or were you just stretching? Stretching, all right, no worries. Yeah. What have they been? Yeah, exactly. They seem a bit excited, like, like someone scored a goal. Yeah. Traitors. Wow. Okay. Anyone else? Yes. Exactly. So the first thing people often look at is your clothes, actually, or what you look like ethnically or color-wise. So what they're seeing here is, you're seeing, oh, these guys want me to become Muslim. Oh my gosh, am I going to have to wear all that stuff? And someone who's a bit more fashion conscious, man, why is that dude wearing red trainers? What's going on there? Anyway, but beyond that, what's all this business? What's all that? Do I have to do all this if I'm going to become a Muslim? And what if I go up to you and I do this? A bit intimidated, like, yeah, exactly. So the point I'm making here is, anytime you raise your hand above your shoulder, that's a threat, by the way, body language wise. So the point I'm making here is, firstly, they're thinking these people aren't like us. Then they're thinking why they're wearing clothes not like us. And then they're thinking why they're looking so threatening. And you see four dudes walking down the street. you're gonna already start feeling a bit threatened, aren't you? So why not this? They're also Muslim. Which type of Muslim do you think British people would be more attracted to? Exactly. So it's something to think about, something to think about. Okay. Concern about extremism, we've talked about this, but I'll give you a positive. Look at this. It's dropping 7%. And then everyone got concerned about COVID. And now everyone's getting concerned about your gas and your electric bills. Yes? So they don't have time to think about all you guys as extremists. Yeah? They don't have time for that anymore. They can't get in to see the GP, Even I might need a consultation to that. No, I'm just joking. But what I'm saying is there's lots of other issues going on now. So this is a positive opportunity for us to talk about things because that extremism thing's kind of dropped off the agenda a bit. So be positive. All right, so let's quickly whiz through this. So a conversation, what is a conversation? It's basically a conversation, a communication between two or more people. It consists of non-verbal communication and verbal communication. All right, don't worry, you don't need to write all this. You're going to get this as notes. Okay, we're going to send this out as notes. So just pay attention to what I'm saying. But style over substance, unfortunately. Even if you're doing certain surgical exams, it's style over substance. How do you communicate something is often more important than what you're actually saying. And that's why you need to think about that. So how do we communicate? Well, communication success relies on 93% non-verbal. That's pretty shocking, isn't it? So before you've even opened your mouth to say something, 93% of their mind's been made up. And that's why we need to think, what's my body saying before what my tongue is saying, all right? So first impressions, they did some studies and they said first impressions take 3 seconds. Believe it or not, they take 0.3 seconds. So in 0.3 seconds, how many sentences can you say in 0.3 seconds? Not many, can you? And the point I'm making is that impression will be based on your appearance. So when you're at that Dawah stall, what's your appearance? What signals are you throwing off? Yeah? Are you like that with 4 people and a big thobe, yeah? And red trainers? Or, how do you come in across to people? That's what I'm saying. What's your posture? Is your posture like this? Like that? I mean, this is an aggressive posture, yeah? You're having a bit of a play fight with your mates because you got bored, yeah? I don't think that's working. You're having a bit of a, no problem. So you're having a bit of a play fight with your friends, you're 6 hours into your shift, you're thinking, oh yeah, I'll have a bit of a mess about. Just then someone walks in and sees one Muslim fighting another Muslim. What do you think they're going to think? I know you didn't mean anything by it, but you meant a lot through that action to that person in that 0.3 seconds. Right, let's go through facial expressions. Right, so what does that, what sisters usually very good at these things. What's that conveying? MashaAllah, cute young kid, yeah. What's it conveying? Serious, yeah, someone says serious. Sad, yeah, okay. Anything else? Worried, yeah, okay. And then look at that. Yeah, and I'm just looking across at you. As soon as that came on, you all started smiling. So you have reciprocated the smile. And there, sister there, young sister, looking serious, yeah. Don't look too happy, maybe because the hijab's not on right. And then there, mashallah, she's smiling, yeah. So the point I'm making here is, there's research on this, and the research is that feedback from facial expression affects your emotional expression and behavior. So it affects your emotions as well, right? If you see someone smile, inside you start smiling, yeah? interestingly, if I was to put a pen in my mouth and bite on it, I would be forced to smile. So I might be crying inside, but my face is like that, and I'm biting on a pen. Now that they found psychologically, just doing that with the muscles makes me happy inside. So the simple act of this on you makes you happy on the inside as well. Next, let's have a look. We got local Imam Sahib, yeah? Getting ready for a khutbah, maybe a fatwa, who knows? Yeah, it's pretty serious. And then you got mashallah, mashallah, yeah? So which one of these two do you want to have dawah from? Obviously, yeah? You got the Imam, ex-Imam of the Muslims there. We won't put the one who was previous because I might get booed. And then you've got that. So you can see how much of a difference just this smile makes, you know. So if by the end of your dawah thing, could be a stall, exhibition, whatever, if your face isn't hurting from smiling so much, you haven't smiled enough. By the time you go home, your face should be absolutely tired. So you can't even smile if you want to smile. All right? Prophet ﷺ was the most smiling one. Gestures, right? Let's ask the brothers this one. Okay. Right, young man. Yeah. Smile a bit. Okay. What do you think is going on there? What's all that about? Questioning and describing. Unsure, yeah. Explaining. Might be asking for what? Okay. So here's another ex-imam of the Americans, yes? So some of the older guys will remember this dude. So yeah, so what's that? Sisters, what's that? What's he doing with his hand there? What's he telling you with his body language? Stop. What else? Huh? Enough. Anything else? Huh? Talk to the hand instead of my face. Yeah, anything else? Huh? No more discussion. Brilliant. So sisters are very good at body language. Women are 9 to 8 times better at deciphering and understanding the body language than men are. So that on the left is non-threatening, conciliatory, humility. So a palm up gesture is what you should have on the dawah stall. A palm down gesture is an absolute no-no, because that implies that that's a very dominant gesture. And as soon as you start acting dominant, the other person's going to feel threatened. And you're non-assertive. Right, so, okay. So, guys, when you see these young girls here, they're all talking, there's 5 of them. So, are they all talking to each other, or is there something else going on here? Eye contact. So, who's actually communicating in that group? There's only 2. 5 people talking, only 2 are actually communicating. And I don't know if I have a laser. Oh, I've got laser. So shoot the arrow. Yes. So that's what's going on. All this is noise. All right. So eye contact. There's going to be a lot of noise when you're at those dawah stalls. There's going to be buses going past. There's going to be everyone screaming for attention. Best way to hold their attention is hold the eye contact. Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. So what about how many like scratching your top lip? I've just seen brother do it there. One more over there. Another one over there. There's 3, 4 of you who've just done it. Oh my God, there's another one there. It's like an epidemic of this. It's like spreading faster than COVID, right? Anyway, so what I'm saying here is this: never ever cover your top lip, ever. Why? Because that screams deception. Body language screams deception. How many of you got little kids who lie for the first time? What happens when that child lies for the first time? Because lying is so far against the fitra of a human being that lie came out is something so disgusting and shocking for the child who did it for the first time. They want to push the words back into their mouth. But as you get older and better at lying, you start learning to cover your tracks. But still it leaks out. It leaks out. Your body language will leak out eventually, and you'll do this. So when you're talking, don't like do that, don't go like that, because that screams lie straight away. Okay. And then barriers. Let's talk about barriers. So a barrier is basically anything that crosses the half of your body. Think of it like that. So if my hand goes across my chest like this, can you see me? Yeah. My hand goes like the brother in the pink at the back. You're demonstrating very nicely. So guys, have a look at the guy in the pink over there. MashaAllah. Nice pink shirt. Yeah. That one over there. So he has got a barrier up right now. The barrier he's got, it looks like this. The barrier he has right now is my defenses are up. And my defenses are up and nothing's going to get through. Soon as you do that, mentally it's going to cause a defense reaction in the person you're talking to. So don't cross your legs, don't cross your arms. As soon as you do that, you know, the communication is going to end or it's going to go down. Okay. Plan to succeed. So minimize barriers. So generally, you shouldn't be stood from behind a podium like I am. Unfortunately, I am. I like to walk around a lot, but apparently this being fed online, isn't it? Yeah. But anyway, what I'm saying is when you're doing the Dawah stall, don't stand behind the stall. Stand to the side of it. All right? Because you want to be communicating with the person. You don't want a barrier there. Just like you don't have this barrier, you don't have that barrier. Okay. Other things, never make assumptions. So someone might come to you and you might think, oh, this guy's definitely like this, or this woman's definitely like that. Before you know it, you know, you might have put them into this person's a fundamentalist of another religion, you know, they're a missionary, whatever. For all you know, they might have lots of questions that they want answered by Islam, and you've just put them in a box and shut the lid. So never make an assumption about a person who comes to you. You might see someone who looks like a homeless person. They might not be homeless, you know. So always be open and never make an assumption about a person. The other thing is, as soon as you say something like, you Christians, and the guy turns around or the woman turns around and says, I'm not a Christian, you've lost them. Straight away, you've lost them. Because people hate assumptions. We hate assumptions being made about us. Can you imagine how much they'll hate you making an assumption about them? So never make an assumption. Observe. Now, use your eyes. There's a lot you can tell just from someone's body language. So they might come to you like this. They might be looking down and furtively around. They might look stressed. They might look sad. And that's where you need to observe and diagnose what the problem is, but you can provide the solution that Islam has. If someone might have died in their family, they might have lost their house, they might have had it repossessed, they might not be able to pay their bills, they might be just sad and hopeless and they need hope, you know. Make eye contact, smile, deep breath. So if you take a nice deep breath, it works every time. It doesn't matter what you're about to do. And then plan your opening. So that's when opening, I mean, we'll come to that now. So opening, how to open a conversation. You'd be amazed, absolutely amazed that, you know, someone will come to a Dawah stall. They'll even make eye contact with the person behind the Dawah stall. And the person behind the Dawah stall just doesn't talk, doesn't say anything to them, doesn't smile, doesn't make eye contact. And then the person walks away and you've lost them. That could have gone differently. You make the eye contact, you smile, you ask them how they are. You just say hello, for goodness sake. And before you know it, a conversation starts, and who knows where that conversation can end. So there's neutral ways. So when someone comes to a stall, I have to keep telling Muslims about this. Don't know why, but When someone comes to a stall, don't start saying, you know, you this and you want to ask this and you need to know this, or you might want to ask these questions, or you might want something. Whenever you say you putting the guy on the spot or the lady on the spot straight away. When you say you, it's like sticking a finger at them. Don't do that. Don't say you. Avoid you. Avoid words like no. No is a negative word. Just don't say it. So what you say is you talk about a third thing. So you displace the tension by talking about a third thing. So it could be the weather. Here it's going to be the games, isn't it? The Commonwealth Games. There's so much to talk about. And you all have one thing in common. You're all in Birmingham and the Commonwealth Games are happening. And, you know, make sure you know the schedule. What's happening that day? You know, have you been to the games? What do you think about them? You know, they might say, oh, I haven't been to any of the games. I don't even know about it. So, oh, yeah, no worries. And then you can just talk about other stuff. And the point I'm making is talk about a third thing. It might be that you've got an old person who needs some help. Go and help them. It may be, you know, that there's nothing to say except for hello, you know, hi. You know, they might seem very timid. Use humor, you know, so humor can be anything. Usually British people love humor, absolutely love. A person that doesn't have humor in Britain has either got a mental problem or they're a weirdo, all right? So do not be super serious, okay? If you want to smile, have a bit of laugh, a bit of a joke, that type of thing. So you can even make a joke about yourself, like, oh, you know, it's getting a bit hot here. You know, could you go and get me an ice cream? And it just said, no, I'm just joking. But, you know, these type of things will tell the person that you're actually normal. Yeah, you're not some fundamentalist extremist who happens to is preaching. Okay. And then occasionally you can ask a direct approach, like, oh, do you know much about Islam? Have you heard much about Islam? You know, would you like to know what we're doing today? That type of thing. Now, once you've started the conversation, don't let it die a death, please. You know, keep it going. I mean, subhanAllah, when we're all here, you can't stop talking. You put someone on the Dawah stall, it's like, hello, hi. And that's the end of it. You know, no, talk. So get a name early, you know. So, you know, I'm Naveed. What's your name? And then you are no longer that bearded guy who I saw in the middle of Birmingham. You are now, oh, I saw this guy called Naveed. You know, he was talking about Islam, you know, and it's become personal now. It's that relationship through the name. Next, ask open questions like, you know, oh, what do you think about that? What do you think about this? You know, oh, you know, do you have any questions? That type of stuff. Ask them about their views. Now, this is important. A lot of time Muslims will stand and they say, right, my job is to preach. I'm going to stand there and I'm going to be like, I have to tell you this, and I have to tell you that, and I have to show you this, and I have to show you the truth. No. Ask them what they think. What do they think about this? What do they think about? It could be something simple like the cost of living. It could be something simple like the games. It could be something simple as traffic. You're having a conversation. And the point I'm making here is that you're opening up something called an exchange. Psychologically, if you've been asked what your opinion is on something, you feel honor bound to find out the other person's opinion. And that's where the exchange happens. That's where you can now give your opinion on things. And that's going to be Dawah. Acknowledge, right? So it doesn't matter what the question is. It could be a question that you think, honestly, you know, where have you been the last 30 years? You know, have you never read anything? Have you never watched TV? You know, they might ask you something so simple that you almost want to laugh, but never laugh. Any question is good. Any question. Always acknowledge people's questions as good or intelligent, because they're good. And then direct it to Tawheed early. So don't talk about fasting and wearing, you know, certain clothes and certain rules. You know, people, your job there is to talk about oneness. of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's your first job. You know, your first duty is to call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After that, everything else follows. You know, there's no point showing someone how bad alcohol is if you know you've not even had a conversation that there is a God or not. And then get a contact. So once you've talked to them, you know, the conversation's flowed, you know, it looks like they need to go. You'd always say, look, you know, this was a really good conversation, or I felt like, you know, it was really helpful to hear your views. You know, would you like to leave a contact so that, you know, we can pass on more information, you know? So those type of ways to continue that contact in the future. Now, very simply put, this is a Dawah algorithm, very simple. There's literally 3 questions. So you might talk about lots of things, but deep down, the skeleton, the backbone of your conversation will go like this. Do you know about Islam? If yes, great. Move to the next question. If no, educate. Why is someone going to even want to become Muslim if they don't know anything about Islam? So you need to be there in an educational purpose. And people like getting information. They like learning. They like being educated in a respectful way. Next, sorry, yeah, this messed up a bit, but number 2 says your opinion, good or bad. So they've said to you, yeah, I know about Islam. Next is, so what do you think about it? Good or bad? You can literally ask that. And they may say, actually, yeah, I think Islam's great. And then I'll tell you a little quick story. We were at Oxford Street and Regent Street, the corner there. And, you know, there was some talk someone once gave about 10-minute Shahada, right? This person literally was a Muslim in 10 seconds, right? And it was just this. So do you know much about Islam? Yeah. What do you think? I think it's really good. So you know about Islam, you think it's really good. Why don't you become a Muslim? Well, I've been trying to look for someone to take the Shahada, and they became a Muslim. So this is what I'm trying to explain. You know, you shouldn't be going around the houses and going like, oh yeah, you know, let's talk about this, let's talk about that, let's talk about this. No, it's ultimately a lot of it is about this. And then it may be that it's actually, I'm not so sure about Islam. I'm not so sure about all this. Or they might even say, oh, I don't really like it. And then you need to educate them about misconceptions. Say, okay, what don't you like? What do you think's not right? And then finally, you know, it may be that they've got to the point, you've got 5, 6 conversations down the line, or they may have already had 5, 6 conversations with someone, then they came to your stall. They think Islam's great, they know about Islam, but there's something stopping them. And sometimes it'll be family, sometimes they're worried about work, sometimes they'll think you've got to wear that big thobe, yeah, and start eating chili curries, you know. Or sometimes they might just think that I need to learn Urdu, you know, if I'm going to become a Muslim. But the point I'm making is that these are misconceptions. You don't need any of those to become a Muslim. So the final question is, why don't you become Muslim? Not sure. Educate, remove misconceptions. Or if they say, yeah, okay, then just repeat after me that, you know, Ashhadu, yeah, and then you start. Okay. Now, finally, I'm kind of end the psychology on this part, which is the Prophet ﷺ as a da'i. So he's described as, now has come to you a messenger from amongst yourselves. It grieves him that you should perish. Ardently anxious he is over you. To the believers, he is most kind and merciful. And then it says, but if they turn away, Allah suffices me. There is no God but he, and on him is my trust. So essentially, you know, this is our attitude. We are worried. We are anxious. As Brother Naseem pointed out, the society is going to pot. It's just awful stuff that's happening, especially with our younger generation, our own generations. So we're worried, we're anxious. We want to be kind and merciful, and we're patient. and we're relying on, trusting on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the ultimate focus. Now, are there any questions on psychology part? I'm going to very quickly whiz. I know we're slightly over. All right, but we'll make it. Any questions before I move to the street dawah part? Okay, right. Could I ask Brother Zahid and Brother Dawah to come to the front? Could we get these two chairs, young man? If they could have a seat, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, why don't I tell you what? We'll have a 5-minute tea break.
Yeah,
we'll do
let
that.
everyone.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. So this is now, so that what we talked about was psychology of one-to-one dawah in any situation, So now we're bringing a bit more focused onto best way to do dawah when you're on the street, basically. And I felt very strongly that we should have brothers with us here, Brother Zahid, who's probably the expert on street dawah as well. So we're going to get him to say a few words as well. So a lot of street dawah was done during the London 2012 Olympic Games. WAMI kind of spearheaded that. There was something like a 19-page consultation document. Many organizations came forward. So that was 10 years ago. So 7.7 million spectators, visitors. WAMI and other organizations raised about £65,000. 250,000 leaflets were produced, 5,000 Qur'ans. We had 300 volunteers working, some over 16-hour days. So we're talking double shifts. And this was done during Ramadan as well. So, hopefully this will be inspiring for us because, people have done this. And the planning for the event had started 110 days in advance. So we won't dwell on this too much. We've covered this partly. 1 million spectators will be in Birmingham. They estimate 90% of them will be from within the UK. You're going to have 41,000 games volunteers around. And alhamdulillah, I think it's more than 100 now. You can have more than 100 UK IM volunteers. There for Dawah, 6,500 to 7,000 athletes, 286 sessions over 16 venues. So I congratulate UKIM, and it's an unenviable challenge that you have in trying to cover venues and try and capture as much attention as you can. And then beginning in 32 days, it's going to last 12 days. And it's the first major international sporting tournament in Birmingham. You can look down and see what's being, so have a look on the website for the Birmingham 2022 games. Look it up on your phone. You can talk about what events are on that day. So why street dawah? Well, it's your opportunity to meet the great British public, and there'll be 10% foreign people there. You instantly bypass everything. You're bypassing the internet, you're bypassing TV, you're bypassing newspapers. It's you and them, direct. And people will believe what they see in front of them than what they see on a screen. It gives you, it's positive stranger dawah, so these people won't be people you know. You're going to see lots and lots of people around, and it's your opportunity to counter some misconceptions. So priorities again, first impressions. So think about what you're going to wear. Some clothes can be barriers. Some clothes are less likely to be barriers. So the question you need to ask yourself is, am I going to wear something that makes me feel more Islamic, or am I going to wear something that makes me appear more acceptable? So that's the question that you need to answer yourself. So, for example, I won't wear my shalwar kameez usually when I'm out and about doing dawah, right? I love wearing shalwar kameez. I'm wearing what I would normally wear out and about. think you're wearing what you'd normally wear, yeah? With your lovely, lovely mashallah t-shirt. It's doing your dawah for you before you even open your mouth, mashallah. And brother Dawood, is that what you'd normally wear when you were doing dawah? Yeah, exactly. And you've even got University of Loughborough there. You look like a professor. Mashallah, mashallah. So the point I'm making here is those first impressions are important. We're going to talk about zones of influence, and we're going to talk about that two-way kiss. So keep it simple, silly. All right? Keep it simple. The other part of kiss is keep it safe. All right? Do not do anything, say anything, behave in any way that makes them feel unsafe. All right? Shouldn't be intimidating in any way, shape, or form. You need to be welcoming and stay safe. Okay? So meaning your arms shouldn't go above your elbows, your hand shouldn't have your hand out, any of these type of behaviors. Yeah. So keep it simple and keep the doors open. So let's talk about, so you got a dawah stall there. There's actually 3 zones around the dawah stall. A lot of people don't realize this, but this is what we learned from years of experience in the Arndale Centre, just outside in Manchester. So from a distance, like the brother there on the back wall, yeah, you're keeping your beady eye on me, aren't you? Yeah, keeping an eye. That's what a lot of people are going to be doing. As they're walking past, they're going to see some Muslims with a big table, and they're going to either walk straight past you, or they're going to like observe you subtly through the EE big shop window or whatever shop you have there. And I've seen this happen every time. They're there and they're watching. And deep down inside, they want to come and talk to you. They want to come and learn something. But Shaitan's holding them back. But they're far away. You can't just say, oi, come over here. Yeah. So the point I'm making is there is a zone of observation. So 3 meters or more away, they will be watching you, they'll be looking at you, and they'll be thinking, do I go and talk to these guys, or do I go and do my shopping in, you know, what is it, Miss Selfridge's, or whatever it is. So the point I'm making is that observation zone, you need to behave well and be smiling, welcoming in your body language, engaging. You're allowed to make eye contact with them from more than 1 meter away. The next zone is called the zone of hesitation. Now, again, this is based on years of it, seeing human beings, British human beings behaving. So about 3 meters away is roughly about here to you, young man. So this is where I'm thinking, my fitra has drawn me closer and closer. But now Shaitan's working really hard and he's pulling me away. He's trying to stop me getting to Islam. So what happens in this zone of hesitation is they're not quite far enough away to observe you neutrally without being noticed. And they're not quite close enough to you to interact. So this is essential to make eye contact at that point. So within this distance, you need to make eye contact. You need to smile at them. You must. And, you know, just give them a nod. It's as simple as that. Or you can even say, if there's not many people about, you can just say, hi, like that. And literally, inshallah, you'll switch them from someone who Shaitan was about to pull them away to someone who's come into the zone of interaction, which is 1 meter away. So from 1 meter away, that's the zone. Now with the zone of interaction, I'd say don't get closer than this. You don't want to be talking to the guy like, are you okay? You know? Because that's definitely not a good move, okay? There's something called personal space, all right? And the way to work out what your personal space is with someone is just to sort of stand where you feel comfortable and then see, do they take a step away from you or do they take a step into you? And that you have to then accommodate them. So they might be a bit close. So, you know, you might be about here to me, and I might be thinking, getting a bit close here. But if they're comfortable with that, then that's the distance you interact at. If you are here and the guy steps half a step away from you, don't follow them. Leave them where they're comfortable and talk to them. Usually it's about a meter, roughly. In other countries, it's much closer, the personal space, and some it's much further. So that's the first thing. Presentation, again, non-verbal cues, minimize your barriers, and continue activity. I'll tell you what, I'll get Brother Zahid to talk a little bit about
this one. Yeah.
Oh, you wanna? Okay, we can go leaflets and then we'll. Yeah, so leaflets. You know, again, so either you can stay behind your stall for the whole 8 hours and not interact with anyone, right? And say, yeah, mashallah, you know, I did my bit, and then go. Or you could actually try to have a conversation with people and interact with people. So there's different ways of doing it. One is you hold something in your hand and you offer it to people. Another way is you just stand to the side from the stall, you're holding something, and people will see something in your hand. And then they'll see that you haven't just put it in your bag. So they realize, actually, that person's got something, and maybe it's for me, and it might be free. Who knows? So, Brother Zahid, what do you want to say something?
This one, what happened was in Luton, there was not enough people standing. So I thought I'd rather go do it myself. I prepared sets of leaflets in my computer bag, and I used like Women Islam leaflet, what is Islam, who is Jesus, on one side. The other side, same then I put a rubber band, and I prepared sets of leaflet in my hand, and I hold it like this. So while I'm standing, suddenly somebody's like a fish. You know, when you throw a trying to catch fish, suddenly the words are moving. But somebody was pulling it, and I knew somebody wants to leave it. So I only did this when nobody was giving me a hand to help me with the Dawah table, because it's not easy to carry table, bag, box of Quran. So I said, let me think alternative. So I came up with this idea. So you can do it as well, you know, in town. And I'm telling you, it's amazing experience. I've been doing it for many, 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 many years. First time when I started doing Dawah, I couldn't speak English because I came from Peshawar, and I spoke Pashto. I used to go to Christian missionary school in Pakistan, and I used to run away from Islam. My mom used to have tears in her eyes. What will happen to my putra? You know, every time the imam comes, he runs away from. I never been to the masjid. Every time I went, I used to get bored. And then in 1989, we came to UK because my dad came in the 70s to do medicine. We came 1989, and then my life changed here because of two brothers I met in college. And they were from Tablighi background, and they used to help me in my studies. And I used to say to them, brother, why do you help? You're always busy, but you never say no to me. Then they said to me, brother, we are Muslims. Islam teaches us to be kind and helpful to others. And I said to him, brother, I know I'm born in a Muslim family, but nobody taught me about Islam. I don't know nothing about Islam. Then, alhamdulillah, they helped me in my study. And then, I met a brother. You know, when I saw this place, then it reminded me my own time. I met a brother called Khalil in college. He said, we do karate. So I went along to do karate into the center. It's called Muslim Youth Foundation. And guess what? This Adhan started. I said, oh, Pauji, what shall I do, man? I'm trying to hide and run from this thing, and I'm stuck here. Yeah, and because there was masjid, And inside the masjid, Salah started. I said, oops. So I just stood with them with no wudu. And then when the Salah finished, I went home. I said, "Oof, what, so what am I doing here?" But then Ramadan came. After more than 20 years later, first time I fasted. And it was in Ramadan. I cried like a baby. I said, "Oh Allah, if you don't guide me, nobody will help me. I want to be a better Muslim. I want to be a good person. Please help me." And suddenly I opened the Quran and I saw a verse. Allah says, if you have a little bit light in your heart, Allah will take you out from darkness to light. Then I remembered, wow, I've been 3 months ago to that masjid for karate. Then I went back. Then I met Abu Bakr. He was a PhD student from South Africa. And every Friday he used to do studies. But then he said to me, Zahid, why don't we do a stall in town? I thought mine, because I like talking and helping. I said, why not? I thought it means selling clothes or something. And alhamdulillah, then I started a Dawah store. And with Abu Bakr started with his wife and 4 children. So when I went on Saturday to see, I said, oops, what am I going to do? You know, as the doctor mentioned, my tongue went dry, my hand and feet were shaking. I said, oh, my non-Muslim friends, what they will say to me, what are you doing in town? Guess what? My non-Muslim friends, because that time I moved to BTech National Diploma and then university. My non-Muslim friends, they came and they said to me, Mr. Khan, keep up the good work. Doing a fantastic work. And you know who gave me the most headache? Apre log. They said, who's funding you? Who's funding this? You know, like disheartening, discouraged. But non-Muslims, they put courage in. And subhanAllah, we had such a positive response from non-Muslims. And that encouraged me. I said to myself, Allah had changed my life in this country. And I met the best non-Muslim friends. Okay, they didn't have Iman, but they were the best characters. And I met the very good brothers. You know, the masjid, that place, the brother to whom I came to this day, every time I do salah, every time I do dawah, Brother Kaleem gets the reward for it. So I was very happy when I saw this masjid, the activities they do. Wallahi, this can change a lot of people in a very good way, because there's so many youngsters, they're looking for positive things. So with dawah, if you're doing dawah in town, it's very simple. It's not very expensive. Okay, you need to get a table. From B&Q, it used to be £19. I don't know how much the wooden table. You can use it for paint. You know, put your paint. You can buy that table. I believe it's £25. And leaflets. WAMI UK usually supply leaflets. There's mashallah, that time, many years ago, we were the only one who was supplying leaflets, but mashallah, now there's so many organizations, they supply leaflets, you know, and even UKIM can help you with that. And also, every time you stand in town, when I stood in town, do you know how I do dawah in town? When I'm standing, I smile. Please don't, no matter if you have argument with your husband, if you have an argument with your wife, or your dad said something to you, please don't stand with aggressive, rude face in town, all right? Smile, because don't forget, they have been bombarded negative things in the media. They think Muslims are very depressed people. They're very aggressive. When they see you smiling, they will come up to you. Why are you so happy? You know? And sometimes what I do, non-Muslim, when they pass by, because I talk with sincere heart, I don't make things up when I'm standing in town. I saw a man with this nice t-shirt, shirt. First, he won't come to me to collect the leaflet. I said to him, you look very handsome. I said, mashallah, you look very handsome in this shirt. And guess what? He walked, he came back. He said to me, you appreciate my shirt, so I would like to have your leaflet. Then not only I said that bit, I added another bit. I said, you have such a lovely, caring wife that she cares so much for you that she got you this beautiful shirt so that you will look good looking. And his wife, she said, such a lovely, nobody ever appreciated even him. Yeah, but it's so appreciating it. So, that really helped to remove the misconception and stuff. And because whenever I stand in Dawah, I look for opportunities. I had one guy came shouting, yelling for 10, 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes. He was saying, if that bombing happened, I'm going to blow the Luton main mosque. He was on for 20, 30 minutes. And I'm just listening, I'm looking. And I saw there's in town center Luton, we have this great kind of shop selling sweets and stuff. So I'm looking and I saw samosas. So when he finished, I said, my friend, are you finished now? He goes, yeah. I said, would like to have samosa. Oh yeah, I love samosa. And then I got him samosa and we became good friends. Then slowly I asked him, after smiling, joking, and the people who were passing by, they thought, 1 hour ago, he was cursing Islam. He was cursing Mr. Khan. Now he's having a flipping samosas. What's going on here? So I asked the guy, what made you so angry? He goes to me, I was not interested in any religion. I joined Buddhism and this and that, but I saw some of you guys standing there in town, and I thought, who are these guys? Those days they used to be Al Majroon group. So they had a banner that time which says, accept Islam now, otherwise you go to hell. So I didn't know that their table was not far away from me, and I used to get caned for what they put on the poster. But when he saw, he said to me, oh, I thought Muslims are all aggressive because I used to see those guys standing there with long, tall, big bellies and aggressive faces, and wearing a thobe and this. I said, don't blame the clothes, don't blame Islam for what they do. Then I give this example. When you're driving a sports car, if you don't know how to drive, yeah, you will hit, or if you're drunk, you will hit the car in the tree. Who will you blame? The car or the drunk person? He goes, drunk person. I say, okay, then don't blame. If somebody knows he's not drunk, he's studied how to drive, and he drives it smoothly, so don't blame Islam. Then he goes, oh, I need to know more about this faith. Can you see the difference? 1 hour ago, he was shouting and screaming, yelling, cursing, and then we became friends after sharing samosa. So make sure you have something at Dawah store, like sweets, okay? And I'll share another. These things don't cost you. If you have a support from the Muslim, like from the masjid, okay? I give you another incident how the sweets breaks the barrier. When I do Dawah events, mostly I do events which I can afford as an organization, yeah? And what I do is that I go to the Chinese warehouse in Manchester and I buy a huge quantity of scarf. In a shop, the same scarf will cost you £8. There it will cost you £1, okay? So I buy £600-700 of scarf. And then I buy sweets. Listen to this, sweets. Before Christmas, the sweets, they come in a big jar, all right? After Christmas, you won't find those jars. You will find them in a small box for 3-4, very expensive. So why do I buy them in advance during Christmas time? Huge quantity, I put in a garage. When the event comes in summer, and I look at the dates, expiry date. So when I do the event, I have one volunteer, majority of our volunteers are sisters, okay? And most of the events we do nowadays, a tray, sweets, leaflet, and I say to the sister, this is your job, brother, your job will be answer people questions Another sister will be showing hijab. But one day what happened, this is about a month ago, one non-Muslim came, the sister went, she would like to have sweets. She said, oh yeah. Oh, when she ate it, I said, what's going on? What's about? She said, I would like to try scarf. She said, yeah, why not? She came along, she tried the scarf, and then the non-Muslim started conversation with her. And what is it about? It's about Islam. She said, oh, I have a question actually. She asked a question, and the brother and sister answered the question. She said, I found the truth. He took shahada. After that, the sisters introduced me to her. That sister took shahada. I asked her, what made you accept? What was the reason? She said, for so long, I had these questions, and I couldn't find. Here, today, you standing here, giving the sweets, I scarf, I found the answer. Guess what? You know, that day, I had about 16 volunteers in Manchester register for the event. I have to prepare a big box of 100 scarves, bring them by car from Luton with the gifts, everything prepared, but only at the last minute, volunteers said, you're not coming, I'm busy here, busy there. And I got nervous. What am I going to do? Yeah, just a quick. What am I going to do? I said, no, I'm not going to give up. I went ahead with the event. And Subhanallah, sister, 2-3 sisters, one volunteer turned up. And those 2 sisters did the equal to 120 sister job. And that day, sister took shahada. Okay, so, I mean, to do this Dawah soul is not easy. Shaitan will not leave you alone, believe me. He will not leave you alone. But if you do it for the sake of Allah, believe me, you will see amazing things in your life. Allah will give you something in your life that you are crying for. You will be amazing where this came from. Do you know where it came from? Because you help Allah's deen. Allah will help you through this. And don't forget, on Day of Judgment, the non-Muslim will ask you to complain to Allah that I had Muslim neighbors or workers that never told me nothing. Yeah, so share. And wallahi, you know, in this country, you can talk about anything. They will still say to you, thank you. They don't like it, they will still say thank you. See, that's the beauty of this country. Even when I'm traveling on the bus, I put leaflets. On the train, you know, these t-shirts, you know, during the sports games, make sure you have the t-shirts with message. Please don't put big logo and there's no message. Just put some message and the organization website. Believe me, those people who don't come to you, they still take a picture and they can visit the website. You know, when we do the trying hijab event, when I'm wearing this t-shirt, non-Muslim, they come. This is a very fantastic message, but then they ask questions. Sometimes we have a queue of non-Muslims that the poor sister, she gets tired. To put, you know, I'll give you another example. I've got so many. In Luton, UKM, Brother Maqsood, he does in Carnival, Dawah store. You know, he doesn't get no help, volunteers to help him because they say it's haram to stand. But I said, my intention is not to look at people. I stand there, they're well-mannered people. And subhanAllah, we get so many non-Muslims. And another thing I've noticed, I put costume, you know. I remember when they're standing, nobody was coming to the store. And because some brothers, they were sitting there with aggressive faces. And they were still, what's the point having a table when you're chatting? So I said, the only time they will come if I put this. So I went and put the costume. And subhanAllah, same people, the kids were dragging their parents. Then we want to take picture with. And then what we did, henna. You know, wallahi, you know, henna, doing henna, you will get so many people. Okay. And the other last thing I will say, add to it. When you're standing at Dawah store, please don't waste time with your relatives. Your relatives, your friends will come, they will do chit chat, wo Salma, wo hai ye kar raha hai, wo ye kar rahi hai, ye kar rahi hai. Please don't waste your time. You have few hours to spend in town, Talk to as many people you like, but don't waste time. Okay?
Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, Brother Zahid. So what we're going to do is we're a bit short on time, so we're going to talk about the practicals, and just the way we're going to organize this is to say that the sisters, we're going to allocate our most experienced da'i to you, Brother Daud. So he's going to do a session with yourselves. And, you know, you could either go into that room to do it, maybe sit down on the floor and do it that way. And then you could maybe have people doing it, or you could do it here. It's just there may be some noise with our side. Yeah, so what we'll do is, so we're going to have about 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes of practical one-to-one role play. So the trainer will play the role of a non-Muslim who's come to your stall. And you will be in the role of obviously the person doing Dawah. So what I was going to suggest was we need to split it up. So we've got Brother Naseem, we've got myself, Brother Zahid, that's 3. We've got and 3 more brothers at the back, Lutfar and Shakil. And we had another brother as well. So we've got 6. Tariq. So we've got 6 trainers. So what we need to do is maybe if the trainers go and sit in the different corners in the next room, so 4 of you, if you can go in there, and then maybe if you sort of direct them in, yeah. So let's do the first 2 rows. You stay here and come to this corner. The next 2 rows go to the next room. Then the other next 2 rows come to this corner, and then the next 2 rows go in that room, and then we'll sort out the back. Okay, so let's do it.
So we'll inshallah finish in within next 10-12 minutes. I will request Dr. Naveed to come and wrap up their session, and then inshallah we have got a couple of minor things, housekeeping and stuff before we all depart today. So Dr. Naveed would come and wrap up, and then we'll be able to take 2 or 3 questions. If from workshops anything ever arises, you can ask those 2 or 3 questions. So then we'll have some final words to say about that.
Assalamu alaikum. You're still with us. You haven't run out of the building, mashallah, mashallah. So I hope you enjoyed the practicals. The way to think of the practicals is there's just a little introduction. So we all think we know something until someone asks you, until the person's in front of you and they're asking you the question. And then you've got to try and put all the words together, and then you've got to put the sentences together, and then you've got to put the argument together, and then you've got to do it with a smile, and then you've got to explain it with your body language. So what I was saying was, don't worry, mashallah, the first time you do it is the hardest time. Next time you practice with your brothers, your sister, your mother, your father, your friends. All these scenarios we gave you, practice them again and again and again. And inshallah, what you'll find is you'll become more and more confident, more and more fluent. You'll become, like doing hifz of Quran. You first start reading, it's very hard. Then you read many times. By 5 years later, you're fast, So same in Dawah. Dawah, you practice, keep practicing. Best way to practice is with each other, because you can make errors and learn from each other's errors. But when you're out on the Dawah stall in public, you want to minimize your errors. So that's why I suggest practice with each other. MashaAllah, and very encouraging. The level you were at was not the level of someone who's never done any Dawah. MashaAllah, many of you did very, very well. Brother Daud, would you agree the sisters did very well? Yeah, well, we're just asking if they were good.
I thought they did very well.
They did very well. MashaAllah. So I can say as well, hand on heart, mashallah, there's so much potential here, so much potential in the room. I know we asked some difficult questions. I know you were put in certain situations, but these situations, the more you face them, the better you will become. All right. So don't give up. Don't, just keep going and you'll inshallah reach that.
Any burning questions? If anyone's got any burning questions. Burning question. Very important question. We can wrap up. You are.
You're the trainer. You're asking questions.
Yes.
Yes. So, okay, rules. Okay, let's very quickly deal with rules. Okay, everyone will see your hijab. Everyone's going to see you praying. Everyone's going to see you fasting. They're going to see your rules. They're going to see you getting up before sunrise for Fajr. They think they can't do that. That's just impossible. Anytime any rule is discussed about Islam or Sharia or anything, what you've got to do is you've got to move away from the rule and move to the reason you're following the rule. Okay? Move away from what they see to what you believe. The reason we fast is because we believe. The reason we pray is because we believe. The reason we wear hijab is because we believe. The reason we do anything in Islam is because we believe. They can't see your belief. So you need to highlight. So if they say, oh, I can't fast, blah, blah, blah. Say, actually, it's not that bad. But we fast for a very important reason. Why? Because we believe in God. Do you believe in God? Suddenly, that entire conversation, instead of 1 hour on alcohol and how bad it is, has now gone in a minute onto Tawheed. Right? And that's the secret. You've got to keep bringing it back to Tawheed with the oneness of Allah.
So we'll take the next question. Well, we just need to ask as you're more experienced and most of us will be going first time. So can we expect any situation where, because they're different nature of people, kind of any aggressive person come very close to you being very aggressive? Okay. So how should we respond and tackle the situation?
All right. Well, the first thing I will say is this is again a bit of a fear that often Shaitan will put inside you. In many, many years, attacked, right? So 20 years, no physical attack. There's been 1 or 2 times where you might get missionary or certain unhinged individuals who will act in an aggressive manner towards you. Bottom line is you're in public and it's governed by British law. So the only time we had one issue was some guy came but this is in years, 99.9%, you have no problem. Occasionally, if there is a problem, just don't react. They take your leaflet, throw it on the floor, don't react. They lift your table up, throw it, don't react. You will find the British public will react on your behalf. They will come forward and they will say to that aggressor, how dare you do this to these people? And I've seen that with my own eyes happening. Yes. Yes.
I'll explain. I've seen one experience. 1994, around 98 time, we had Manchester Town Centre. We were standing. We used to have a shift. 2 brothers coming, 2 brothers going, and my shift finished. So I was going, and I saw a man came, and Brother Bakr and other brother students from Malaysia. He was not doing nothing, sitting. One man came, he started taking leaflet, ripping, and then by that time I was going home, and I went after that crazy person. He went to H&V shop. Remember those days we used to have the set shop? So I went inside. He said, "Oh, you want this leaflet?" I said, "Look, we can fight, we can beat you up, but I don't want to be." He said, "You people are devil, and you're trying to spread devil religion in British country." And he started ripping the leaflet. So I said, okay. Then I went, and then he came, and then he started ripping more, trying to take more. So then we had socialists. People there used to have a table, nobody was going to them. So they used a loudspeaker, and this non-Muslim lady from the socialists came, she said, "No racism allowed, no hate." And the guy went crazy. He said, "Why are you defending this crazy Muslim devil worshipper?" And he went to trying to punch her.
And I came in the middle, pushed her and saved, protected her. And what happened? The non-Muslims in town, imagine they were surrounded. God, the guy was doing dawah. We were surrounded by the whole area was people were watching. And I said to Abu Bakr used to bring biscuits and cake. While I'm chatting, I said to Abu Bakr, Abu, we brought the cake today. I said, yeah. I said, go and fill it up. Watch me what I do. So I went up to the guy and he's angry, frustrated. And then, do you know what happened? People were saying, you are wrong. Why you are ripping innocent leaflets? They have done nothing. They all stood up for us.
Yes.
Can you imagine 100? There were more than 200 people. And then he went like, do you know what he said to them? He said, you all been Satan by these two guys. Yeah. And they all had a go at the guy to defend us. What happened? While I was talking to him, and Abu Bakr filled the cup and the cake. I said to my friend, do you like cake? Oh, I love cake. I said, come on, guess what? After 2 hours, we became friends. And the non-Muslims, when they were going home, after 2 hours, they couldn't believe it. The guys had a cake with us. Then I found out from him, slowly, giving him cake, mate, and I found out why you had so much hate. Who put you this thing? He said in the church they told us he was evangelist Christian. He said we've been told that these are spreading devil thing. So that was many years ago. Majority people will lie. They appreciate. And one thing I will add, what I've seen from my experience doing Dawah events in town or in museums, majority non-Muslim, they love to talk to a female Muslim. Majority who come to Dawah so are non-Muslim women. They cannot talk to you about women in Islam. No matter how much you explain what Islam says, they will not listen. If you have a sister volunteers, let them talk. Because then they will listen that, okay, this is genuine. That's why in most of my events I do, when non-Muslim came, she wasn't listening, I knew straight away. I said, sister, you take the charge. And then later she took Shahada.
Thank you. So I think we'll end it there in terms of questions. One thing I was going to offer, maybe, is, what we can do is the brothers who've trained, we can put them in a group and we can be on call for you. On the day when, if there's questions asked that you don't know the answers to, it's perfectly reasonable to say to a person, a non-Muslim, and it's better to say to them and be honest, say, actually, I'm not an expert on all areas. I can try and go and find out the answer for you. And then you could send it to the on-call team, and we'll try and answer the question, and then you guys can give them the answer, inshallah.
I was about to actually ask your permission because we made a volunteers group, and I was thinking if we could add new people. This one brother wants to ask a question, please.
It's not only a question, it's just appreciation. And to be honest, I am astonishing with the work you have guys done. But I think it's a desire and eager to have more sessions. Obviously, we have confidence barriers, we have language barriers, we have the correct answers or the correct movements. So obviously, we need a few more sessions. My request is to have at least one more session before we go in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll see if we could squeeze one. If not face to face, probably online. And we cannot thank you enough. May Allah reward you for all the effort and time you have given, brothers, and you come from all far away. Like I mentioned earlier on in the day that I want you to reveal for the first time, actually, that what type of slogans and Dawah messages we have finalized for our Dawah campaign. So we've been through a lot of work and discussion and brainstorming to come to this stage. And the idea behind the message was that we wanted to keep it very short and simple. And we want you to link them with Dawah message and with gain hope. So that's where the whole thought process was. So I want to let you know the three messages we finalized. And before I show them, I want to tell you that it's not possible to make everyone happy. We've been through this. For the last 2 months, we've been discussing and discarding and accepting. So yes, some of you might have comments, but now these are the finalized messages. We are not going back to them, but it's important to accept them and build your campaign on those. So the first message that would be the most, you'll see that the most. It'll be on the buses and billboards, probably on 80 and 90%. And that's the ayah of the Quran. The ayah actually says Allah's mercy, but we've changed it. Never give hope of God's mercy. So this would be our main, you can say, as a slogan for this Commonwealth Dawah campaign. And inshallah, it links well with gain hope, what Brother Naseem mentioned, all the hope which people get. So this would be our first message. The second one is this. This is also a verse of Quran. Stand up firmly for justice. Because of the Black Lives Matter movements and all other things which are going around, injustices all around the world. So we thought this passed on the message of Islam as well. And third one is a hadith. You all know this hadith quite well. So we'll have, we want to, obviously UKIM is a charity organization, mainly as a the above two messages be on buses and billboards. Now the final thing I was thinking whether to show it or not, because it's not the final version yet. But this is almost what we're going to get on the billboards. And that's our final billboard design. Again, it still needs some changes, but what we would display be very, very close to this. The colors would probably be the same. UKIM goes with the yellow color, plus when we speak to the designers, because the yellow stands out, we look at the billboards and stuff. So this is how our main billboards would look like. And then the bus campaign would look similar. So the billboards would be something similar to this. So there'll be a few changes, like you again hope would be bigger than what it is there. But this is the basic theme, inshallah, will be advertising on. So may Allah reward all those brothers who have helped us in this and all of you who have given us various suggestions. So just the final thing we would wrap up. I'll invite Brother Abrar to come and talk to you. Just a few final words. I want to show you how the volunteers have been allocated on various stall days. So I'll invite Brother Abrar, who's from Wolverhampton and part of our eye care team as well. Brother Mudassar is here as well. He came slightly late, so I didn't introduce him yet. So Brother Mudassar leads the eye care in the Midlands zone, and he's obviously helping us because they're quite experienced in setting up stalls. So I'll invite Brother Abrar Afzal to come and talk to you about the Mudassar.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, and my name is Abrar, as Dr. Neil said. On behalf of UKIM, Midlands Zone Dawah and Eye Care team, I would like to thank you all for coming in today. It was very, very important for everybody that you joined us today, and we are on the same page. And after that, and special thank you to all our guests, and Brother Naseem, Brother Naveed, Brother Zahid, and Brother Dawud, special thank you to you. I know you've traveled far. I really, really appreciate from us, our teams, and it's really, really great to have you here. And on the other hand, I believe everybody who's sitting on the chairs, you have benefited from this. And it's a great opportunity for us to learn from very, very experienced people, and it was really great. And thank you very much. And I've got a few more forms at the moment, which I need to put this information in. We're expecting roughly 3 to 4 people, minimum 3 and maximum of 4 or 5. But there are some gaps as well. So these are the days, these are the. If we see there are some 8 to 9 people coming in, very first one, but. So I would like you to think about it and let us know if you can be flexible or as much as flexible. So that would be great for us because we want everybody to have filled in all of these places. And lastly, I really thank you for everybody who put this together, all brothers and all sisters, and especially thank you for Aisha Mosque who let put this together as well. Thank you very much. You on a regular basis, and Dr. Adil will be inshallah leading that, and Brother Mudassar will be up. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah, brother. Before I ask Imam Saeed, Imam Team UKIM zonal team, Brother Hussein has been supporting us from the start. He's here. Brother Kashif Anjum, Brother Anjum Mumtaz, they've been doing both eye care and UKIM Dawah. And from sisters, all the team, Dr. Sadia and all the other team, your support has been amazing. And we hope that we don't. Jazakallah khair, and Imam Saeed, who's the Imam of Aisha Mosque, would conclude dua and then we'll conclude inshallah.
Bismillah wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. My dear brothers and sisters, thank you, and also make dua for you. Alhamdulillah, this is an amazing effort you have made, and may Allah accept all the efforts made by brothers and sisters. And one thing I would definitely Muslims in the Britain, and in the area where we are sitting now, it is nearly 400,000 in the Black Country and Birmingham. So you are the chosen ones. I mean, lucky ones that Allah Almighty has chosen you for this purpose and for this job. And this is the position of prophets and messengers, that I was just going through some ayat of Surah Ahqaf when the jinns, they were present in the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he stayed in Wadi Nakhla, Valley of Nakhla, and he was reciting the Quran. وَإِصْطَرَفْنَا إِلَيْكَ نَفَرًا مِنَ الْجِنِّ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. When they have heard the Quran, what was actually the conclusion they have made? They said, "Ya qawmana inna sami'na kitaban unzila min ba'di Musa." We do hear Quran every single day, but this is sit back and inna sami'na kitaban unzila min ba'di Musa. What we need to do now, ajibu da'i Allah. They went to the qawm, to the nation, and they said, ajibu da'i Allah. Become the da'i of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, become the caller to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is our real actually position. This is khayru ummat, kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin nas. We are raised for the humanity. So this is our real status and position. And inshallah, you are actually taking the lead, and you are the people, lucky ones that Allah Almighty has chosen you for this purpose. And inshallah, every single moment you have spent here will be, inshallah, made like and you will be rewarded, inshallah, on the day of judgment in abundance, inshallah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulihil Ameen, Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Allahumma makfina bihalalika an haramik, wa aghnina bifadlika amman siwak. Allahumma wal hadi wal amal. Innaka ala kulli shay'in qadir. O Allah, O our Creator, O our Lord, O our Provider and Sustainer, Allah, accept every single moment my brothers and sisters have spent in your house, in this house of Allah, and Allah reward them for every single moment they have spent. Well, Allah, accept the efforts of all the organizers and brothers and sisters, and the time they have spent, make this time a valuable time in your sight. Allah, raise us as an ummah which is raised for the humanity, and allow us to fulfill our responsibility and duty assigned by you, O Lord. And O Allah, raise us on the day of judgment with Anbiya, Siddiqeen, Shuhada, and Salihin. May Allah, O Allah, accept all the efforts the brothers are going to make, and open the hearts of the people who are our mad'u'iyeen. Allah, open their hearts for your beloved deen and for the message of Islam. Allah, allow us to follow the footsteps of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all those companions who did the da'wah in the previous centuries. Throughout the centuries, they have been doing this da'wah. Allah, allow us to follow their footsteps and then finally guide us to il-haq wa ila siratil المستقيم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك اللهم ونتوب إليك برحمتك يا أرحم.
Just one final thing, the brother Dawood Matthew's book and a CD, we've scattered them all around in different chairs. MashaAllah, wonderful book about presenting Islam. We had 60 copies, so not all of you would get one. So please share it with other people within your branch and who you know once you read it, so that everyone gets the benefit out of it. So Jazakallah khair, Jazakallah to our Murabbeen who come from far. Please do keep an eye on the WhatsApp group. We'll be sending you operational updates soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.